clock's off. We're behind. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this is the part of the meeting that we'll replace that chair.
I'm about to move.
This is the part of the meeting that if you got something that's not on the agenda, then we'll discuss it, but we can't act on it. So is there anybody that's got anything that's not on the agenda tonight? I knew it. Go ahead. What you got?
Marty Randall with the Scott County Plan Commission. Was advised this morning by the attorney for the Plan Commission who served for 4 years. Sherry Porter is resigning as of July 1, so we will be seeking new legal counsel to handle any issues that the Plan Commission might face. Hopefully none.
So July the 1st, huh?
July the 1st.
All right, well, I can see that. I serve on that board, and Sherry's been a big help to us. So
Will you see her?
Sorry?
Will you see her between here and there?
Yeah,
Will you tell her thank her for her service?
I will. We'll even give her nameplate. Yeah. Also, I did the end of the month report for May, and we doubled our business as compared to last May's report. I don't know why, but we did. So, that's it. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Tom.
Yes. So, Mr. Chairman, not sure, haven't been to a meeting in a while, not sure, do you prefer we come up or just sit
Yep.
right here?
Yep, we're free willy here.
Cool. Appreciate y'all having us on the agenda and going first. It won't take hardly any time, I hope, but I'm Tom Sprinkston. Had really officially met Greg in passing, but Tom Sprinkston, I'm Purdue Extension Educator part-time for Ag and Natural Resources. We are downstairs in the basement, the Purdue Extension office. We're really here tonight, pleased to introduce Megan Broughton. She's our, we in Extension always like acronyms, so it says HHS, that stands for Health and Human Sciences. Megan's been here since February the 2nd, but just schedule-wise and getting on your all's agenda and ours too, first opportunity to come and introduce Megan. We're quite pleased to have her. She's experienced, got 10 years experience in Extension, and actually in the neighboring Washington County was their 4-H youth educator, and the CED is the County Extension Director for Washington County.
Nice to meet you, Megan. Glad to have you on board.
So didn't know if you had other questions of Megan or anything?
No, not this time, but welcome aboard, and I guess you've been here for a while. I guess we haven't passed you in the hallway, so I know I'm not saying anything negative here, but isn't that the third one in the last few years?
Yeah, I've been back, almost 5 years, and yeah, it's the third one that
So stay around a while.
Hey, I've been here through all of it, just in another county, so I can yeah.
And actually, she's always lived here in Scott County and worked in.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Good. That's
So I
even
think that'll
better.
be another incentive to keep her.
That's
Oh, yeah, welcome home.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you very much. And if you need anything from us, feel free to call one of us or all of us or whatever. So.
And the other thing I see that Jenny did put on the agenda that I know Greg may not be aware, but whenever John Lisenby was here, John had been working, and actually Jean's here somewhere, Jean Robbins.
She's hiding.
So her husband Kelly had Robbins Nursery, and that I think is kind of as an honor or memory of him. Robbins's, Jean and son Kyle would like to donate, or any trees that y'all might want to have that's out at their nursery. And they in fact have a transplanter that's able to transplant a pretty large tree. I know, again, as Star State John had been interested, and I've been out there visiting before. And Susie Knowles, who's kind of retired as a district forester or DNR, would also like to become involved if we went to, or you all go visit and pick out some trees. I mean, I've been there before looking at, they have some Norway spruce, some white pine, they have some flowering crab apples. They also had some large boxwood shrubs, but I know we just took shrubs out of the courtyard.
Well, the crab apples, wasn't that what was up and down the 56 here?
Well, a lot of them are down 31, like in front of the fairgrounds. That would be the crab apples. And again, if it works out, I know that the big thing would be figuring out a location, you know, and some people, you probably hear it, you know, gosh, why'd you have to cut the trees down that were here, and,
Oh, I know.
you know, all those reasons why, but if there could be a location or two that could determine, I know, and again, Jean had other questions for her, but they were very willing to, you know, donate something and kind of in Kelly's honor or memory.
Yep,
That would be very nice.
I think I'm all for that, and like I said, yeah, we heard a lot of grief about why you cut trees down, and we, you know, leaned on you a lot for, and we still have one more that we need to take out. And so we need to get to that too, but yes, I think at least a couple of trees I think we need to put back, so.
I just kind of last note on that, generally it's usually acceptable or kind of the saying's been, you don't plant or transplant like from Memorial Day to Labor Day, you know, obviously dry and heat and trying to get them to root, so usually after that, so late fall or early spring are the better times, but, you know, you could never start soon enough planning for it.
Well, we'll get with Jean and her family and come out and see what she's got and decide on, as long as you stay within something, you know it's gonna be a hardy, you know.
Right, and you know, they're native, they're from here, so, you know, and it's already grown here versus something you might get shipped in from somewhere else.
Right.
Okay,
The
sounds
only
good.
last other thing I was gonna say, y'all know the fair's coming up, and if no one has noted it, then Fair Board's changing it a little this year and working with Pilot Club, and they're gonna actually have the Queen contest on Saturday night, so that we will know the Queen on the Sunday fair, come to the fair parade. I think part of the reasoning was it was always getting so hard to find enough convertibles to ride all the ladies around and stuff, so I think the thinking is, you know, yes, then the Queen will be kind of the standout, and then maybe do one float for the rest of the court kind of thing, so.
Sounds good.
And
So it'd be
the Queen contest,
It's Saturday evening, it'll be at McLean Hall. like
That's
it has
still
been.
a female-only contest.
For that, Little
Okay.
Miss and Master, they could, yes, they could be little guys and gals in it, but, and then come to Fair Parade, and then starting off Monday, understand the carnival will have been coming from Columbus, probably giving you more than you wanna know, but they'll just been traveling, worked all weekend, they'll maybe look like they're set up for Monday, but they're not gonna run Monday night. But starting Tuesday, they'll have, I think they're planning grandstand events every night.
Yeah, I think there's a race or something on Sunday night and a demo or some sort of demo on Monday night.
Haven't printed that off, but I know they're doing some advertising for it.
Yeah, so,
Any other
and
questions?
it's
for
gonna
us?
rain that week too. and-
Yeah, but we were just saying that, you know, we're trying to cut down hay or wash our vehicles or do what we could to come for today, but it's helped, it's not enough, we still
Yeah.
need more.
Yeah, we definitely need more than that. So, well, appreciate all your information, and again, you know, we know that fair is always a big thing that happens in this county, and a lot of people don't really know that the fair is not really associated with the county government. I mean, it's
No,
kind of a,
independent.
it's an independent fair board, and a lot of people didn't know that, so. Cause I've got some phone calls, and I'm sure other commissioners in the past have got them saying, what about this? Well, you need to talk to the fair board, cause, you know, that's their thing. So, that's not even our property, so it's theirs. So, well, welcome aboard, and, hopefully, if you've been here that long, since February, we haven't ran you off yet, so
Alrighty,
we'll get out and look at the trees then.
thanks.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much.
And Gene, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shell, how'd you get so far up on the list?
Well, I come back down later and I notice.
Okay.
Well, we thought there would be a bigger, crowd for your guys' public hearing, so. And, Jean needs to leave early, so, as you guys know, Gene's on my board and Gary Hubbard's on my board. If you guys, Mike and Randy, if you haven't met Gary, he is the one you guys appointed last. So we are here tonight to ask for you guys to opt into the governor's public health funding. That is this one-page document that I emailed out to you guys. We've been talking about it. Came and did my big PowerPoint. Basically, this is just, I'm asking you guys to say yes tonight. And then we will come back, or the health department, not me, will come back and you guys have to approve the final health plan according to the bill. So that basically will say how these dollars are being spent and what health initiative they will be spent towards.
Didn't you tell us before that you had, because this is a matching, is it not?
Technically matching in year 2, so 2025, but it would come from our 1159.
But you said you already had the money to
Yes,
support
we
it.
get enough in our spring settlement to cover the match portion.
Even
so,
in
the max.
2025?
Yeah, so 2024, they just have to fund, the council has to fund our 1159 at the last 3-year average, and so I don't see that being an issue because it's an average of the last 3 years. So, but basically what we're asking now, one is because as you guys know I'm leaving, and so budgets are due to Jennifer on the 15th, and from this budget for the Governor's Public Health Commission and our 1159 budget are really meant to work together. You know, try to, if you want to do a bigger project, you need to take it out of your Governor's Public Health Commission or vice versa with your 1159. So that's kind of why we're asking now for the approval to just opt into the money, and then council can approve the budgets. And then, like I said before, September 1st, my replacement and the board will come to you guys with the final health plan. You guys have to approve the final health plan on how that money is spent.
And for people, I mean, the opt-in, if we opt in next year, 2024, the minimum is $283,464 and the maximum is $377,952. 25, it goes to, the minimum is $566,928 and the maximum is $755,902. So, and
you guys can opt out at any time. So if for some reason you opt in tonight and something changes and I don't know, you don't want to, or May of next year you don't like how things are going, you can opt out at any time.
But what it's doing is it's actually giving the county more money to have more programs, or
Correct.
and the state's kind of buying into the health.
Yeah, so the state, they are taking this money from the general fund, so it's not any kind of it's not a tobacco tax, it's not anything like that. They are funding it from their general fund. And the way this works is if a county opts out, their money goes back into basically the bucket, and then they will disperse that money to other counties. So if we don't opt in, that money is gonna go to another county. So, and it's, honestly, we do probably 80% of what's already being done, or another agency is doing it already. We just need to figure out a way on how to work with them, or
Well, it sounds to
MOU or
me
something
like
like that.
if our match is in 2025, the minimum is $118,872 and the maximum is $158,496. For us to pay out that much money to in turn around and get almost $750,000 to fund programs within our county,
Correct.
I think that's
Yeah, and it's already
it's a
being
no-brainer.
done like that. So like I said, that's basically our spring settlement, if not maybe a little bit more, but it's nothing that would really change anything that's already happening.
You have any questions or thoughts?
Are you okay
Sounds
with this? Okay.
Well, I know this was a big push in the state legislature, and actually, I don't think it had too much.
I think there were like 76 legislators that eventually came on as authors or co-authors. Senator Garten was an author. I know he talked a lot about it in his newsletters when he was still in session, was still active. So yeah, it has a lot of support from all throughout the state.
Well, I mean, anything, I sat on a Zoom call the other day with, I think it was about this.
Yes.
and they were asking, different questions about programs and thoughts of how to spend the money, so.
Yep.
There was a lot of good input. I mean, one of the things I'd like to see, as I said on that meeting, was, more for young kids and more for old people. I mean, cause we have a lot, if COVID didn't do anything but, hurt kids from, seeing friends for a year or so, and also you gotta realize that your older community were locked in too, so. So
there's Senate Bill 1, this is Senate Bill 4. So Senate Bill 1 actually covers a lot of covers funding for mental health services. So they don't really want this money to go towards mental health services, but like if you look at our elderly population, most of our population is dying from like heart disease, lung disease, all these things that can really be prevented if we intervene, like you said, in the childhood years and like educate them on why you shouldn't smoke, why you should exercise, what does obesity really do for later in life, like those types of things.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely the mental health side of it too. But there's another bucket of money coming down for that.
Okay.
But the services they hit home for us. I mean, these are a bullseye for our community.
Yeah, and like I said in my presentation, Scott County has the lowest life expectancy of the whole state. So I don't see why we wouldn't opt into this money.
Politicians on top of that. I'll entertain a motion to accept the local public health funding for 2024 and 2025 from the state health department.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes that motion, Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
And then I will just have you guys sign this, yay, nay, because I just have to upload some sort of document saying that this happened. And then I'll be back up later. No.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So what is your drop dead date?
My last official day is the 24th. So this will be my last meeting with you guys. Don't look so happy.
Chicken. Mr. Lowry. I'll use that word, Lowry.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. It's my dad and my granddad.
Yep.
Good evening, all. It's my last chance, I guess, to meet with you officially before our event and kind of give you the latest of the goings on. And it's getting very exciting, getting very, very close to. We'll be here just in a couple of weeks. I made myself some notes here of some things I wanted to advise you. The last report we've got from our hotels tells us that we have people coming in from over 10 states. We have people coming from Texas, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Washington, D.C., among the closer states. Pretty exciting. I really never expected people to come from that far away for this first one.
Right.
So that's really, really good. There is a national podcast of Mayberry stuff called the Loaded Goat Podcast, and they are coming to do a live sort of a report on the event. Just about 3 weeks ago or so, Mayberry Magazine that's published out of Mount Airy, North Carolina. It's a quarterly magazine for Mayberry folk, and it had an article in there about Mayberry events around the country. They interviewed us and did a really nice piece in that article about us. They didn't get this from me. I don't know where they got it, but they stated that our event is the second largest Mayberry related event in the country already for the first one. So
wow.
That's pretty exciting. So far we have pre-sold 525 tickets to our ticketed events. I was kind of hoping that would be larger, but everybody that I talked to say, well, you can pretty well count on about triple or a little more of the attendance of whatever your pre-sales are. People just wait to the last, they buy at the door. So I mean, we're creeping up to where we could expect a couple thousand people just at the ticketed events, and there'll be people that will come that won't pay for a ticket, but will come to other stuff.
Yeah.
So, it really feels like we're gonna have our numbers about what we were hoping in terms of attendance. Just to give you a little idea about how the social media thing, we're trying to track things to help us maybe figure out how many people might be coming. In the last 30 days, our Facebook interactions have averaged 17,277. And
How many days?
over the last 30 days.
Wow.
And it's actually up 213% in the last week. So we're beginning really just to see a ramp up of interest. We're having now more vendors and more food truck people, apply and have more tickets bought. And so it's kind of been going along like this, and all of a sudden this last week, the interest has really taken off. And so there's a lot of great things happening. We got a good crew of folks, volunteers here that are working hard to put things together. And so we're getting really, really excited about that. The city's working hard, sprucing up some stuff and doing some promotions there as well. So to kind of get to where the county comes in, there's a couple things I want to make sure that you guys know too. I will reiterate, I think I've told you in the past, so we're having opening ceremonies right after the parade on Saturday morning here in the courtyard. And so asking all the elected officials to come, that come and attend, because we'd like to introduce you to all of our attendees, all of our visitors from out of town. I'd like for them to know who's been helping support us do this thing. So I'd like to get all you guys in the council and all the city and Austin elected officials too, anybody that can. And we'll do brief introductions, because we really appreciate your guys' support and how you've helped us make this thing happen. As far as what's happening on the courtyard square proper, I know the city's working on taking care of things in the streets and things that are theirs, but as far as like policing the courtyard and keeping the trash cans empty and stuff like that, hopefully there will be some resources, some county folks that can help us do that and just make sure kind of that stays where it is. And we'll have some volunteers to kind of be watching out for that too, but just to make sure that, you guys know about that and you guys tell us what we need to do as far as that kind of thing. But I know the little flower beds around the corners and stuff, they're really starting to look good. I know people are taking care of those. So obviously, I know we all want to put our best foot forward as we have folks coming out of town to visit. So anything that you guys can do to help do that, we appreciate that.
I've been talking with Jerry Asher about the trash cans, and I know I was gonna say this later, but Randy and Eric actually replaced the boards on this bench out here and put some stone out there and painted it and stuff. And
Yeah, well,
I know we're talking about, I was talking with Jerry about the trash cans. We're gonna pull those and get them painted up and put them back, so.
Great.
So we all do good there.
Well, we have several businesses around the square. A couple of them have already started decorating their windows, but others have plans that they're gonna be putting Mayberry themed things in their windows and calling their businesses Mayberry names, for the weekend. And when you come to an event like that and you see something that is geared specifically toward it, that will make most of the attendees go in there, before maybe they go somewhere else. So I think that's a good move on their part, and hopefully it's gonna be good for our folks too, that we have a lot of people that will come and see our community and know what we know about it, know how much we love it, and we're good for our local business, good for our local economy and our local organizations. And hopefully a lot of them who are close will say, man, that's a neat little town. I enjoyed that little shop or that little restaurant. Let's go back down there and visit, So I really hope that that's a big part of what comes out of this, besides just having a really nice, fun weekend of family, positive kind of events. So one last thing, and I'm not sure, the city's not sure, I'm not sure if you guys are sure, we're trying to track down. I know at different times I have seen bleachers set up around the gazebo when there have been events. The city wasn't sure if they belonged to their parks department. I don't know if you guys know where they belong to. We're trying to track those down because we're gonna have some events there at the gazebo. We'd like to have that extra seating. Do you guys happen to know who has those?
I'd say the school has them.
Do you? Okay.
I'd say if we ever used those, they probably came from one of the schools.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check into
So,
that route there.
check with-
We're trying to track them down.
Yeah,
I know
check
when
with-
they've been here.
I was actually, I think there's this set that's movable and stuff, and they might be the the fairgrounds was,
I think there is an aluminum
I
set
seen
down
some
there.
at the fairgrounds. So,
Yeah, at the horse arena.
yeah,
I think they
There's
moved
two
up one.
sets there, I think.
yeah, one of them was turned
One or
upside
two, I'm
down,
not
so.
sure, yeah.
But anyway, I would check with your relative there at the Scottsburg Athletic
I
Department.
will do that, see if I can roust that boy out. So, yeah, we'll continue to ask, but we'll find those. I think we're gonna have enough of a crowd for those events there that we could use that extra seating.
Yep, I think that's fine.
Yeah, so, you guys have any questions or anything that you need from me or anything
No.
else that I can tell you? Things are going, I think, as well as they possibly can for a first one, and, we're gonna be having some of the celebrities on WMPI in the next week or so, and we've got things coming out in the paper, and, you know, we're trying to really make this last push, this last couple of weeks, and do the best we can do to get as many people here as we can.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for your support and your encouragement, and, I'll be back afterward, of course, to give you kind of a report on how everything went after we analyze everything and take a nap.
There you go.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you guys
Thanks
very
very
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, Scott County Transfer Station Public Hearing Rate Increase. See anybody here that wants to talk on behalf of?
Anybody here to speak for or against the published rate increases for, the Scott County Transfer Station?
Sit down, Eric.
So, no public hearing, but, I mean, no one present for the
Input.
public for input, but,
So we've actually passed it on the first reading, have advertised it for a public hearing, and, I'm gonna entertain a motion or ask for a motion to increase the rates on a second reading, for the Scott County Transfer Station public, so.
I will make that motion to increase the rates at the transfer station.
Randy made a motion to increase, or to, publicly increase the rates for the transfer station. Greg? I'll second. Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
Do we need to vote on the
So-
lines?
I don't know about that yet, hang on a second.
Okay.
So since we had a unanimous vote in the second reading, we don't have to have a third, just,
just two separate readings, two different meetings, public hearing for rate increase of a fee
Okay.
schedule.
so do we, this being the first of the month,
The
the
7th.
7th, we want to wait till the 1st of July to do that? Which is on a Saturday, July 1st, making an effect?
We can,
That'll give
Ordinance
us an
says
opportunity to get the signs made and get them
I
up.
think the ordinance says it's effective upon passage, but
okay,
if you wanted to set a date,
I think, well, we're gonna vote here in a second to get a couple of signs made, new signs put out there that
reflects the prices.
will reflect the new, increases, so.
Yeah.
So,
I think you could say effective upon, placement of the signs, whenever that would be.
yeah, I just don't want somebody confused of saying, well, that sign up there says it's this, and I know we could take it down, but.
Well, I guess we could go effective immediately and then just implement once the signs are up. Couldn't we?
Just effective, I mean, it'd be like putting up a change for like a speed limit, like you pass it at a meeting, but it's not effective until the speed limit signs are posted. So
Yeah, right.
effective upon postage of the
Yeah,
signs at the transfer station.
so is everybody in agreement that that's how we're gonna handle this, is that? So it's just by consensus, that's how we're gonna do that. Second one here is the Sasco Star Sticker Program, public hearing rate increase. Is there anybody here that, wants to speak on the rate increase for the Sasco bag stickers. Going once, going twice. I'll entertain a motion to raise the rates for the Sasco sticker star program that we have for our county bags.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes that motion to increase the star sticker program. Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so, we'll make that, I guess we can make that immediate, because all we'd have to do is tell the vendors that are holding those, that they're, just notify them that they've increased, so, is everybody fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, okay, let's move on.
You don't wanna get signed? You wanna wait for another meeting for that?
I think we'll wait. So, what we're talking about and discussing is, we have a description of what the sign's gonna look like, that with the new rates on it, we've already technically approved it, but we need to do that in an open meeting and make sure that, we send that to the council for approval to pay for the signs, so. Nick. And while Nick's walking up here, I want everybody to know, if somebody doesn't, it's not necessarily that anybody knows who this gentleman was, but there was a EMA director in Jefferson County passed away yesterday morning from a heart attack, so unexpectedly, so never know when somebody's gonna pass away.
Alright. The first things are financials. We finished May with just shy of 151,000. Training's up to just shy of 19,000 for the year. Paramedics just shy of 18,000 for the year, which brings the program to just over 57. Year-to-date total is 790,000. We are on track to meet my pretty overestimated goal, but if we make it, that'd be pretty awesome. Finished last month with 471 runs, and they're listed below. And even after we were kind of making some headway on our cash ledger with some of the appropriations we got earlier this year, and then we ended up paying half the striker bill out of our cash ledger, and we're still sitting at $761,000 in our cash ledger. 610, but we're waiting on our 150 we just received to post. So after that post, we'll be sitting at 761 in our cash ledger. So
good job.
That's still up a little over, just shy of 200,000 for the year, so from last year. Any questions about financials or earnings?
Nope.
Okay. First thing is, a little over a month ago now, we brought that PHI proposal. They reached out to me to see if you guys were interested, if you weren't interested, what they wanted to do, if you guys had any further discussion, conversation, or questions.
I have a question.
Question.
And I know they're not here, and I'm not trying to throw somebody on the bus or trying to figure it out here, but I had somebody reach out to me and say, I actually have tried to reach out. She hasn't responded to me yet, but Aaron Housen's about this possible the federal legislatures are looking at passing a law that states that directly involves the air ambulance services, that says that it's kind of forcing insurance companies to pay the bill. And
that's cute, because I really wish they'd force insurance companies to pay their ambulance bill before we
I
force them
get
to pay their ambulance bill. But I guess we work from the top down.
But, and I guess where they're getting at is that, and this just from talking about, it's a $35,000 to $70,000 bill for a ride.
Yeah. to be honest, I'm not familiar with any of that.
So, okay,
I
I'm
don't,
still trying to find it, if that's a fact or not. Like I said, I did have somebody reach out to me and said,
I know that legislation has been pursuing getting us different pay rates, and all but one's fallen flat on their face. So, I mean, insurance companies and big pharma, I feel, have a bigger power control than we realize, so
oh, they
usually
do.
anytime it gets proposed,
They do, and
it kinda
especially-
gets halted fairly quickly.
Well, the other two insurance you're talking about are government funded, so
Yep.
they don't, they're not gonna spend it.
No, they're not gonna make it
And,
worse on themselves.
But again, I'm still trying to, and then you're asking where we're at. I'm gonna tell you where I'm at. I'm not gonna do anything until I know that that's not.
Like I said, this benefits the
Oh, it does.
I mean, it benefits the people of the county. It doesn't bet the service directly. We're not gonna alter how we treat transport or
I get
do
that.
with our
Right, it
patients.
doesn't affect you.
It's not
Yeah.
an incentive to me or a disincentive. What we're gonna do
I get that wholeheartedly.
is gonna be
and
the same.
I think, quite honestly, I was intrigued and quite honestly, probably 100% on board, and I still am on board. I just wanna make sure, we're not getting the cart before the horse.
No, and I
if
think
there's
it's
another something coming, then I don't wanna be looking at it a different way. But the other thing is, for the county paying out, $67,000 for, I guess, the financial welfare of county residents. I think that's a good, cheap.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you're paying for all the citizens, but if you break it down per head, it's pretty cheap,
Well, the thing about it is, we've had 2 county employees flown in a helicopter. It already paid for itself. So,
Yes.
but anyway,
So,
Moving
moving on. I know that I don't really have to be here for this per se, but I feel like I should, just out of respect. The redevelopment committee approved me for a purchase of an ambulance, which I know all gets funded through them, but I was just making sure before I submit the paperwork that you guys are okay bringing on another vehicle into the fleet, as far as, onto the insurance that I pay for.
so what
I don't
happens,
know if I wanna accept the free ambulance.
Okay,
what happens with the old one,
which one?
the oldest one?
It sits there. I've got a trade-in value of $8,000 for it, and I don't think it's worth getting rid of it. I mean, we can try to private
If
sell
you
it
were-
on gov deals or something like that. I just, looking around on gov deals, I mean, we're not,
8,000's a hard hit, isn't it? 8,000's kind of a hard hit for what it is, isn't it?
yeah, it's crazy that they wanna tell me that I need to pay 6 figures and then offer me 4 figures for what I have. I feel like there's a big gap there. But, I mean, it's one of those things that they can't remount it, it's met its end of life on that. The only thing they can do is upfit it, so it's one of those things that the lowest miles it's ever gonna have is what it has right now. That, or someone private buys it and turns it into a dirt bike hauler, or,
I seen one in Seymour, somebody made,
Yep.
it's plumbing.
Yeah.
right now.
Well,
And people
I
make
see
them,
some-
there's a guy at the racetrack that hauls his tires and all his tools in it and pulls a trailer with it with his race car. I mean,
Well-
it's got other uses.
I sent you something the other day. Did you look at it? Did you open it up?
Yeah,
And so who was that? I can't remember who was it. Was it, is it Jeffersonville or
yes, it was Jefferson County, yes.
Jefferson County?
Yep.
So they have it, Old Ambulance, and they do a portable light show and movie theater, but projection,
They drive it
Out of it.
around and have it at different locations.
and they have it at different locations, and to bring money.
Sell it to the county.
Yeah,
Put a window on the side, sell ice cream.
yeah.
There you go.
You do that on one side and sell hot dogs on the other, and hey,
Be great for
maybe
family.
we'll earn the next ambulance.
But, I got appropriated up to 350. What I'm looking at right now is gonna be about, 339 for everything said and done, so I'll be about 11 short of, or under what they've given me. And that's simply, it's identical to the one that we just got. It's just the 10% rate increases across the board. We paid 300,000 and they added
So,
the striker went up 10%. they went up 10%, so it's just kind of, that's the only difference, nothing extras.
So what's that do with our rotation? That
So-
we were pushing everything else for?
The delivery time helps, but it doesn't negate that we're gonna have to start this same process. We're gonna have this same conversation in 6 months about starting the process for the next one. Because we won't take delivery.
remount.
Correct, for a remount. We won't take delivery of this until July or August of '24. That's as soon as, and this is a demo, that's the soonest that they could get it to us, is most likely August of '24. So as far as receiving goes, it doesn't put us off. But that doesn't negate the fact that we're gonna have this conversation at December or January of the end of this year or next year to start getting, you know, I've got it in my budget this year, depends on what happens if the council approves it, to have it in my budget to pursue a loan for, you know, a remount, to have that in there, and the one that I've already got, you know, to rotate that, so it's gonna be dependent on if that gets approved. If that gets approved, that's going to spark the conversation of sending that one off for a remount. And that's, you know, that's why there was a big discussion about, well, you have all of these trucks. Yes and no. We do have a lot of trucks, per se, to some people. I think we have the right amount of trucks, especially now, because when we start this remount process, we are now down a truck for 6 months. It's not we send it off and they send us a new one. It's they send it off and tear it down and put on, you know, it's building a new one except the box.
Right.
So it's not a quick process. So for that 4 to 6 months that we're out of truck, we're back down a truck, and then it's this constant back and forth of what we're doing. Doing this will allow us to remount 2 in a row if you so choose. And then we'll have to buy 1 to 2 more and then remount 1 to 2 more. So, you know, it allows us that ability. Deliveries a few months later than I would have liked in a perfect world. It's about 4 months later than I would have liked as far as this rotation is concerned, but, you know, there's nothing anyone can do to control that. So.
Do we have a plan?
We have a plan. It's a foundation plan. We have tangible objects. I can tell them to proceed with this with our name on it and do all that. It's just, I just wanted to make sure it's okay with you guys that I take on another vehicle on my fleet to add to the insurance that I pay for.
Absolutely.
So the
And
one
thanks-
you're getting's a demo.
thanks for the redevelopment.
Demo,
Board for doing that.
the new one you're getting's a demo.
So it's, yes, it's an ordered demo because the term demo now is not what it used to mean. Used to, they'd literally drive them around from city to city, station to station, state to state. Now these demos are just easy ways for them to get calculated inventory in, and they get it, they take pictures of it, they stop at a couple stations on the way to their delivery, and then that's it. They're not keeping them for 4 and 6 months like they used to, because it's calculated inventory. Yeah. Because the other company that I went through, they don't have any demos slated for next year, and it was gonna be an end of 25 delivery on a new build. And we'll have to have a truck between them because, you know, we'll have 2 at 200,000 miles.
Yeah.
So, it'll help.
What else you got?
On the talk of ambulances, we did have an insurance claim from what I talked to you guys about that night, and thank you for coming up there and assisting in the reconstruction of making it operational. But we're gonna have to send it off to get fixed. So there will be an insurance claim on that. And I've never filed an insurance claim here, so I'll probably have to get with you to see we've got the claim number and all of that stuff for the insurance company. We hit a deer, we didn't hit anybody, well, a deer hit us, so, but yeah.
To transport it?
Huh? Parts of it? It was in several locations. So, but I'll have to get with you on, we've got quotes and we've got all that. There's only one dealer or vendor in the county that'll deal with it because of the size of a paint booth. There's only one place that's got a big enough paint booth. So we're limited on where we go on that, unless we go out of county.
I don't want to do that.
Okay. Main reason I'm here. If you don't know, my training director has put in their resignation, effective July 6th. Thank you. And this has been advertised for, I think, 3 weeks now. 2 of them, like publicly in the paper, but we've had it online and out there for 3 or 4 weeks now. I'm getting interest until they hear what they make. I've got a plan to resolve that, but I just wanted to let you know where we're at.
Get
So,
with him. Did you get with him?
as far as, no.
When you talked to me, I asked if
So,
that would be something that'd be viable.
so we got a couple options. Do you want me to go over them real quick? So that we've got 4 options. One, leave it alone and do nothing and take what we get. I'm not a big fan of that option because I've had several applicants. It's just, hey, I mean, it turns them away. Number 2 would be to, well, I'll just give it to you. Option true one is to get rid of the position and put that burden on Devon and I, and we take some of the salary. While I'd love to have that salary, I don't honestly know that I can comfortably sit here and tell you that we can manage that workload. And I'm just being honest. I mean, we'd make it
You've
work.
already assumed.
We've already cut one position from
Yeah.
our department. I know we can make it work. I know we would get it done, but I also think that we would not be home more than we would not want to be home. But if that's the poison that you pick, then we will deal with it.
So I guess I'm gonna ask a first question.
Mhm.
What's other agencies, if they have a trainer like that, what are they getting paid?
Anywhere between 58 and 70. The 70 is on the higher echelon of
So
what they do.
what is that, 48? What's the position now pay?
51 and change. So, option 2 and 3 are both kind of hand in hand. So we got some news from that grant that we're doing. They are losing one of their people that was supposed to be the one that kind of collected all the metrics. They've reached out to us and asked if we would take that on. They will still financially compensate us, so we won't be out any money. It'll still be paid for through the grant. It's just we would, instead of us funding or providing one person, we would provide 2. So they're gonna compensate all the dollars. So we're not out any money. We're even.
Talking about that payroll.
Community paramedicine, yes, sir. But with that, there's gonna be some more training that goes involved. So what I was going to attempt to do was to, for the next 2 years, pursue the possible raise out of that, which, like out of that community foundation money that we're getting. So it's not on us for the next 1.5 years, and then we can reabsorb it, in 2025.
Say that again. You're gonna take,
I would like to ask for a raise for this position, let's say $6,000, right, for the year, and fund $6,000 of that out of that community paramedicine money that we're getting, because that person is now going to be responsible for the training that goes along with that program that they were initially providing.
So from 51 to 57.
51 inch, I would like to see it at 58 or 59 on the lower echelon of what we're doing is where I would feel comfortable. I'm not asking for, because then we're getting, fairly close to Devonna's and my salary, which that is for another discussion for another time, because I feel like those should be raised quite a bit for what we've done, but we're getting too close to those, and there's a lot more responsibility on Devon and I than there is that position, and I don't feel like that position and Devonna's position should be making super comparable money, if that makes sense. But that's a conversation for another time and for a different board, and I get that. Did I say something wrong? Because you looked
I'm
perplexed.
just trying to figure out, you wanna use grant money provided for a different position to fill in a gap between.
So with that, that person would be responsible for the training that comes along, that we're gonna have to absorb now, because this is the training director's position, and ultimately they're gonna be responsible for that training anyway. But with the classes we've got going on, they would still be able to be involved in that program. So it's not like we're just borrowing money, they would actually be involved in that money, because what they're doing, it's a metrics data collection more than it is providing care.
so what you're saying is
So
that
would you increase the responsibilities of the position? Like
Correct.
they would be doing something more and therefore eligible?
They would now be responsible for training of that specific program, and then if they would be so inclined to add that metric data collection to them, because they're already doing like the metric data collection for the classes and stuff, So it's just a different metric data collection that they're gonna be doing. It'd be on the service side and the training side. That's what I was looking at pursuing it through.
I think that, might be possible, but that's not really a question for the commission. I mean, I think.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah, just,
as a
curious.
formality and courtesy,
Yeah, we appreciate it.
I probably overindulge sometimes. But that would be option 2. Option 3 would be go hourly instead of making a salary position to allow them to get paid for the hours worked. Just knowing that there might be some overtime to kind of bridge that gap, but I would definitely have to limit that overtime. And then we're getting an exempt and non-exempt status.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a headache.
It's already an exempt.
Correct, it's already a salary position.
Right, so I don't know that we would wanna go back to
I don't.
salary.
The one that I feel the 2 that I feel working are leave it and take what we can get, which is 0 right now. And then B would be either allowing me to get a raise and take the money out of my cash ledger, which I have money, right? I'm gonna be ultimately responsible for it anyway. I'm not asking out of lit or general or any other avenue. It's the money that's in my bank account, or allowing me to fund it for the next year and a half out of that money so we're not getting grant money, the grant is paying us, if that makes sense, which I guess it's secondhand grant money, but we're ultimately just getting paid back. It's initially coming out of a line item that they created in her office that they front loaded, and I invoice them every month, and whether I invoice them $2,000 or $5,000, they cut me a check, we deposit it in, and it replenishes that amount.
So what you're saying is that program was supposed to provide 2 people.
One from them and one from us.
Our person's there, but
Their person
their
is no longer
person
there.
is no longer there.
And they would rather
Us,
just
Put
put
a
that on
person
me than her hire another 50,000, because it's gonna be cheaper for her to subsidize it through us anyway, because they were paying
so
that
she's
person.
technically gonna help pay for a salary.
Correct, for the next year and a half, potentially, if that's what people decide. I'm giving you options, I'm giving you information, I get to make no decisions on that. That's just my idea.
So what happens after?
Then I absorb it,
24?
then I absorb it into my salary, instead of them making, which I would hope between now and 25, they get a pay raise anyway. Especially if the economy continues how it is, but, I mean, it's no different than if I get a $5,000 raise, it just comes out of the money that I have in my bank account, I don't get the money from anywhere else. So it's ultimately that my budget and my bank account's responsible for the raises. It doesn't come from general, it doesn't come from, I get $0 out of general.
Well, you've got 4 options here. I'm gonna ask you, you had your others, what would your option be?
2. Yes.
And I guess I'm gonna ask another question is, how many hours, and I know this person does more than just sit in a classroom, because the classes aren't all day long or whatever, but, could you give a ballpark estimate of how many hours a week this person would be actually training in a classroom?
Physical classes?
Yeah.
Right now?
And I know there's other responsibilities outside of classroom environment, but
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Minimum of 28 hours a week. That's if we don't take on the responsibility of the community paramedicine.
okay,
Because we've got 4 classes running right now.
well,
And I teach the paramedic one, but paramedic class is heavy intensive, so we usually have several people back there. So they're involved that day, they're involved on Wednesday for 8 hours, they're involved Tuesday and Thursday. And then they also do CPR classes every other week, and then, stop all that other stuff. And that's monthly, that's not a hit or miss thing. Then we got our hit or miss classes of PHTLS and PALS, and, all the one-offs, but I don't include those.
I mean, I'd like to table this because I'd like to digest it a little bit.
Yeah, I think I will.
Which I'm gonna be going, just so you guys know, I'm gonna be going to, it got moved, didn't it? 15th now? Council? 15th?
No, June 13th is still on for this month. And then July 13th for next month.
That makes more sense. Okay. Did you get confused like I did?
I thought she was too.
Okay, cool.
13th, yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Tuesday and see if they'll give me the money for a raise at a minimum. Just so I can get this position. I've got people interested that if I can get that up.
number.
Where does, you said that your salary does not come from the general fund.
Correct.
Where does it come from?
My bank account. I have a separate fund than the entire county. So when I bring in money, it goes into there, it's like a credit card, revolving credit card.
He's 95% self-sufficient.
Does the county auditor issue warrants for compensation for your positions from that fund?
I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm not sure either, Zach, I'm not sure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's on the salary ordinance.
I mean,
I think I know where you're going
I
with
get
this.
that.
Is this gonna be bad for me?
they used to be not on the tax dollar at all when it first started. Well, it first started, they funded it, then they became self-sufficient. So no tax dollars was going into it in the last few years with the cost of stuff and some other missteps.
We're coming down.
I know you are. We're back on track. But it is subsidized a little bit by tax.
The salaries aren't. The stuff that's subsidized right now are insurance, our ambulance billing, and workers' comp.
Okay.
But I mean, I think last year it was $1.6 million or something that revenue that they created, so.
Does that hurt or help me?
Anyway, let's just take it under advisement.
Okay, if this is more of a, I'm going to the council to see if I can get this bumped, unless you tell me not to, so.
No, I think that's a good idea, but like I said, I understand that.
And I get everybody wants more money. Heck, I'd like to sit here and ask for more money, and I think I deserve it, but, it's this or that. But, at some point, there's gotta be a tipping point of, if we're not filling positions, we really need to, I think we're doing more than just looking a gift horse in the mouth at that point.
Well, for some odd reason, there's a major shortage of EMS personnel right now.
I think, when we start losing people or we start not being able to fill people, I think that's when we need attention, and, it is what it is, so. But, yep, and then the last thing I've got to talk about is, this is more if you can be involved in what I don't know. We need to have a conversation, or you, or, I don't know, with the hospital.
About.
Alright, I'm just gonna be publicly incorrect. The fact that they think that I work for them. We're getting to a tipping point where it's by 2 o'clock today, we took out 7 transfers, excuse me. By 5 o'clock today, after I printed this off, we did 2 more. We did 8 transfers, 6 of out of county, 2 in county by 4 o'clock, 4:30 this afternoon. Yesterday was the same way. The other day we did 11, or 9. We're getting to the point where I can't keep up because it's costing me thousands of dollars a week to call in 4th and 5th trucks, which is our responsibility, is to provide coverage to this county, and I get. But I don't feel like if the hospital is demanding certain things, that they should not be monetarily involved. And we're getting to a point that they think that we work for them, and it's got to the point where I've got other department heads calling me, asking me where an ambulance is at because this person's been there for 6 hours. No, they may have been at the hospital for 6 hours, but they've been waiting an hour on an ambulance, and that's because I'm juggling the other 6 that are sitting there. They're disturbing dispatch to the point where they call in a transfer. We have a live active board that shows our runs and what we're doing, right? What's taken, who's on what time it got dispatched, all the neat things like the future can read. And we have people from the hospital calling dispatch to go dispatch us out again. And dispatch is like, we're not dispatching out again. Turns out yesterday morning was the same thing. They called twice, they dispatched the initial run out at 7:40-ish, somewhere in that time frame. If they're not critical, we do not take transfers after 7:30 because it's gonna cost me overtime. It'll sit for 45 minutes to an hour if they're not critical, so the new crew can come in, check their truck and leave. Otherwise, I'm gonna pay 2 hours overtime to 2 people, plus the 6 people at station. I'm not doing it. So, they called again, asked when it was gonna be. They're like, new oncoming crew, whatever. They called again. I said they were checking their trucks and there's been 2 911 since. This is not an urgent transfer. They came back again on the radio and I said, I told dispatch to tell the hospital we'll get to it before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
So
Like, we're getting to the point that they're demanding, expecting that our ambulance service revolves around that hospital. And I've tried having conversations. I've tried not to bring it to this point, tried not to bring it to the public eye, but that is where I'm at.
Is it a certain person?
No,
It's just a,
it's
just,
I will say
it's
some
just a
ER,
practice.
some ER doctors are better than others with understanding with what we're juggling, but as a whole, the people that I'm supposed to communicate with the positions that people are in, no.
Well, without opening up a big can of worms.
And that's not what I'm trying to do, but
No, I know
I'm trying
that,
to.
and that, but what I'm saying is without opening a big can of worms of saying a bunch of stuff, I mean, I could understand on their end, cause they got 9 beds out there,
Yeah, they got 11 beds and they've got metrics they've got to meet and all
they
of
want
that.
it's like,
Yep.
I hate to say this, it's like you drive through at McDonald's and they got a timer, how long that car's
Yep.
supposed to be out of the drive-through.
Mhm.
I hate to say you put it in that same perspective.
You're
but-
right.
But they're in that room, they may not be able to treat that person, but that person has to be there until they can transport them
Yep.
someplace else.
Yep.
But,
And we've got an ordinance where we're a closed county and they have to get approval from me before they call anybody else. And typically, I let them call, because if we're to the point that they have to call, feel free, because it's gonna be hours anyway. And there's one company that doesn't do ALS transfers that helps out, I don't wanna say consistently, but not infrequently. But the other ones, I mean, I tell them, go ahead and call down south, or go ahead and call down south into the west, and you're gonna get 2 or 3 hour, or 2 or 3 day timeframes. Your 2 hours isn't gonna look bad once you call them people. And
Well-
it's not being disrespectful, it's the truth, but we're getting to the point where I'm spending several $1,000s a pay period in overtime, because just like today, I've got, and the problem is it's a vicious cycle. If I don't send a transfer out, if I don't send multiple transfers out, call other ambulances in, then 6 turns into 7, while that one's gone, they have 2 more up, that turns into, it just keeps growing and we can't get caught up.
So,
Because there's very, very rarely do we have 3 ambulances in this county. I know we run 3, but when we're doing 7 transfers a day at an average of 2 hours and 42 minutes, a truck is on the road and out of this county almost 22 hours a day.
so I mean, I agree, there
So-
probably needs to be
Something's gotta
communication and
change.
meeting set up. I mean, not to say, but I've heard the hospital, they have, their side of things.
Provide an ambulance and it'll solve it.
So
That's my
I've
answer.
heard a little bit from them as well, so I mean, I just think it'd probably be a good idea, however that is, to get together and everybody talk about it, so.
380,000, give me the personnel to dedicate their own ambulance.
Is this?
I mean, that's my issue, is I get that they're frustrated and they're in a predicament and they have to do things too, but this isn't Scott Memorial Ambulance Service.
Right. Yeah, and that's
well,
probably a good idea.
I had that conversation before, with them getting on the radio and them making comments about where you've been and
Mm-hmm.
when you're gonna be here and everything else. So
When
I've already been down that road and actually took the radios away, from the ER.
Mm-hmm.
And, found out later it wasn't necessarily the ER as much as it was somebody else. But I understand their dilemma, I understand our dilemma.
And we have to have a mutual understanding, but it's not very mutual right now.
But I also know, like I said, it costs the hospital money when that patient sits in that room and they want them out. So, and transferred somewhere else, so. but, and I get that, but
So when it's non-emergency, are you providing health care all the way?
Non-emergent transfers?
Yeah.
Typically, it's an observation.
So you're not using equipment, you're not,
I mean, we'll check vitals, but we're maintaining or observing care more than providing care, if that makes sense. We're not initiating any new treatment. We're maintaining what the hospital has started, or some stuff we simply observe.
kinda like when I made it right.
I was just curious, the PHI proposal, is there any way to work with the hospital on that as well? I mean, even though.
Hospital doesn't use PHI right now, so that's a hospital thing, I don't know. I think at the point, if you went with that, it would force their hand, if they've got coverage, that the patient would get to choose who they use. I think they have their own agreement with another company, and due to the times, I choose to use PHI. The times, the rapport, and the treatment that they provide, I choose to use PHI. Not talking down about the other one, it's just, if I can get them there 9 minutes quicker.
Scotty R. Norton downtown, 51-year-old female.
There you go, there's number 10 for the day.
Alright, well,
So-
let's take that under advisement too, and I
Perfect
actually,
timing, I love it.
I may, reach out to Martin and see.
He's no longer there.
Since when?
Yeah, he's
June 6th.
leaving.
Really?
He's gone.
Didn't they have the new person come in?
They came in today.
He was there today.
Didn't know that. So who's the new person?
He's a contract
Bruce
CEO.
Hassan.
Alright,
Okay, thanks, bye.
alright, thank you.
Thanks.
Kevin?
Hey guys, you started a motion?
For my truck?
No.
You were gonna table the advisement, was that a second motion?
We just said we were gonna table it, I guess we can make a motion if that's what we need to do, cause
I guess
it wasn't on his agenda, or on the agenda. I guess it was trainer, director position, but technically, I'm gonna say he just was informing us and not asking for something, so.
Just take under advisement, okay.
How do you want to handle that? As far as road cut and culvert, do you want to just consider that a draft? Talk about it and
I
table it?
considered it a draft at this point, because I think we did want to make one correction, and I needed to talk to you about getting the actual manual or manuals. Because like what I got right was like page, 56 of, a Indiana Department of Transportation manual that defined, backfill.
Yeah.
So I don't know which manual that comes from, and I make reference to the Indiana Department of Transportation manual and the ordinance. What we're thinking is we'd be a little more specific as to which manual, and there's a list of them that was provided in one of the documents that I got, but I just can't tell which one it is.
Or if we don't reference the spec book, we just, instead of having to reference, we just call it out what it is. Type whatever, we just go ahead and fill in what that actually is.
So, yeah, I think that might be my suggestion.
That way it wouldn't confuse.
I think that
That's fine with me, I just don't,
the driveway permit,
I'm looking.
I think it gets too deep. It's gonna get a little confusing. The road cut permit, that should be a contractor, should be able to understand it. The driveway permit's probably gonna be a contractor too, but probably not a commercial contractor, so I was worried about.
That's a
They get
driveway
to-
where you're putting drainage pipe in.
Yes, in the actual
Yeah.
driveway.
So, I have no preference, I just have no background in understanding what any of this stuff is, so I'm working with, the information that's provided was great,
Right.
it's just,
I felt like the
know how to
ordinance,
supplement it.
We need to.
add a couple things you think in there?
I think so.
I mean, I think it's a pretty, I reread it and I think it makes some sense if you know.
Yeah, I thought it was good. That's what I was trying to do, is figure out how to make it fairly easy to navigate if you don't know, you know.
Maybe we can tailor it a little better.
Yeah.
If we need to.
You know, kind of what, on the road company, this is pretty much the breakdown of what it said. So I think if the contractor, you know, calls Sucker Force when they come in and cut, if they fill out that, and we can go out and inspect and see if they put back a decent quality job.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only confusing
That's
part is
fine.
the materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the difference between type 1, type 2, type 3 material is. And then,
Okay. We'll work on it a little bit, but at least we kind of know it's in process. Clean it up a little bit and bring it back.
Yeah.
I'll scan these to you,
Thank you. You did
send it
good.
to you, we'll see what it comes with. Get closer on it. First thing I got is KLB on the mowing. The first round of mowing is complete for the county. There might be a road or two over in D2 we're finishing up, but just kind of want to make clear that KLB, when I talked to him at the beginning of this mowing season, you know, they never said they couldn't mow, but they did say, you know, they have one mower. And I didn't feel like we was gonna be able to provide the service that we was gonna have to provide with that one mower. So, kinda made an agreement with him that we're running both of our mowers too. We'll keep track of the roads that he done, and then kinda done an addendum from that original quote. So I'll let you guys kinda look this over. This shows the roads that he done. This shows the total that we would owe him for that first cutting.
This is what you gave us the email over?
Yes.
Zach, I got this.
yeah,
Do we have to do we do anything because
I mean, I think,
the contract's technically been altered?
yeah, I think,
And it was a quote. There was a,
we never reduced it to a written,
no.
okay, we just accepted a quote, and then did the quote contain a per mile?
No, the actual quote, I'll just read it to you. It's mowing 310 miles on the left and right side of the road. The first cutting starts on last Monday of May, and the second cutting starts on the first Monday of September. So with that being said, in the mowing specs that I looked at, we put a start date, but we never put a dead hard end date on it. So
Why don't we do this to fix it? Why don't we, accept we're calling it a quote, but I think we're well under $50.
Well under.
But, we'll accept it as amended and, subject to a written contract that describes the services. And it can be fairly simple, but I would feel better at this point, if everybody knew what they were actually getting.
right.
So with that, when you put out that scope of work, did you just basically say how many miles of road and mowed on both sides?
Yeah, I sent that to you in the email, the actual, and I don't have it on me. Yeah, we described, I think 5 foot mow back, unless there's a fence or something that obstructs you from doing so. We gave us the time to start, which would have been the last Monday in May, which they did start a couple weeks early, which was fine. Probably the only downfall, which I have known, is we never put no, hey, you have to have it done 5 weeks from that start date.
I thought, I'm sure you know what it was, but I thought there was it has to start and finish by a certain date.
No, there is not on there, it's not, that's not.
The other thing, was there anything on there about weeding intersections, or is it just?
No, it's just trim back around the intersections with the mower, there wasn't any weed eating, specified into this. It was really just a 5-foot mow back, is what we had. And like I said, with what he was running, I don't believe we was gonna be able to make it. We would have been probably a lot more weeks into it. The grass would have got too high, so that's when we had to make a move to get it done.
So we could amend the contract on that.
Well, I think we don't, like, I think that we look at the original quote to figure out, what he was charging for the services, compensate him for the work he's done based on, I guess, mileage.
Yeah, so basically that's what I done. I broke it down. He mowed 99.1 miles, took 310 miles. His original bid, our quote was $60,760 for 2 mowings. The 30,000 divided it out, it was $96.77 a mile.
You took total miles in the county.
Total miles in the county. The first cut would have been $30,000.
You took the miles actually mowed divided by total miles in the county and multiplied that by the bid amount.
So I don't know if I'm following you. So I took $30,000. That would have been the first mowing, right? 30,000, the first mowing, it was in half.
Yep.
He mowed 99.1, so I took 310, divided it by the 30,000, and that figures to be $96.77 per mile. He mowed 99.1, so that's $9,590. Is what he owes.
Yeah.
And talked to him today, he signed this one, he agreed to it, that's what he mowed on that payment, so.
I just wanna make sure that he's done work, he gets compensated for it, but going forward that we have some kind of, is he okay with if I were to draft a contract for them to approve at our next meeting and using what you got there?
Yeah, I don't think that'd be any issue. I think we all agree this is what he done, this is what he gets paid, and it's not a problem. So, I'll send that, like I sent it to you, but I'll send it to you again, make sure. CCNG bids. So, Dave O'Meara come in at the,
I signed that DocuSign form the other day.
okay, that was probably for him.
It was.
Dave O'Meara got the low bid. I went through all the bids, they all bid the exact same amount. I'll just kind of go over. Bowman Road from Moonville to Fairview was $740,882. Lake Road from Leota to Collins was $229,750. And Ray Road from Fairview Road to Leota Road was $178,277. So the grand total was $1,148,859. So
That was the lowest bid?
that was the lowest bid. Dave O'Meara and Mac and All-Star all bid the same material and they come in the lowest, so I'd recommend going with Dave O'Meara. Yeah.
So it is the lowest bid on these type of things, so, and O'Meara's, I mean, they're in the concrete, or they're in the blacktop
In the
business,
business.
so. Also, and quite honestly, all 3 of those players are in the blacktop business. So.
That was a good group of contractors.
That was,
We have a lot of good vendors.
yeah,
Contractors put in for.
I'm gonna say that, that's the closest I've ever seen 3 contractors in their bids.
I did, yeah.
Was it all like a package, but with 3 different?
Yeah, so that's how they do it on the CCNG. So every road section has a price tag, but then they put a full amount, all 3 together.
Okay.
So
So they were submitted as one bid?
yes, but that just broke down, so applied.
But I will say that they were
within 80,000 from top to bottom, I think. So it's pretty tight on
$100,000.
that kind of
You
bid.
don't-
It is.
You don't see that very often.
Everything's usually a lot wider.
Yeah,
than that.
so I think those are good bids.
I think so.
So I guess you all just need to make a motion to accept Dave O'Meara.
Which one's O'Meara's?
Yeah, cause we tabled that, didn't we?
Yeah, we tabled it, so we can look them over.
Let's see, where's Dave O'Meara one. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept Dave O'Meara's for the community crossing grants paving for this year as a bid of $1,148,859.
I'll make the motion.
Randy,
Okay.
Randy makes a motion to accept Dave O'Meara, Contractor Incorporated, to do our community crossing grant for 2023. Randy, I'm sorry, Greg,
I'll second.
you already said that. Randy makes a motion, Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so. Is there a project start date on that?
I believe we have it in there that it has to be done by, off the top of my head, by December of 2023. But hopefully it'll be done before then, but that was kind of the maximum time we gave them.
And that was kind of our goal too, and we didn't wanna put a lot of restrictions, on contractors to get, to hoping that we.
Get a better number.
We'll get a better number, yeah.
Yeah.
We were on their schedule, not them on ours.
Alright, next thing I got is, Bridge 104 on Reed Road. It is on target to be completed on the contractor end of things by, next week. Probably in the middle of the week. On that project, the county's gonna actually do the paving out there, so hopefully within 2 to 3 weeks, we'll get out there and we'll cap it, and then we're gonna pull that pavement all the way down to 56, so that'll be new pavement from 56 to past the new bridge. So it's on target. Bridge 105. It is complete, all but the land acquisitions, so we are wanting to put it out for bid and have the bids, maybe on a contingency of getting that, but have the contractors awarded, so we're ready to go on July 19th, so we're gonna legally advertise the bids, start getting the contractors in, and put a contingency on the land acquisitions getting in, but at least we get started and get going. That bridge, you know, we've proposed, hoping to come in around 1.3 on it. Talking to our consultant on that today, you know, prices keep increasing. You know, he believes we're gonna be heading close to the 1.5 on it, depends how great a number we get from a contractor. So I think we need to get this out in bid while material keeps climbing.
Yeah,
So,
well, the steel was already ordered for that, wasn't it?
well, the steel beams are, but your contractor's still gonna bid, you know, aggregate on this and rebar on it and concrete on it, so all those things go up.
So we still got utilities to move.
We do, so utilities are kinda holding up till we get the land acquisitions, but we could still do it on a contingency of utilities getting moved, but at least we can lock that price in.
We're still waiting for deals.
No, this is entirely my fault at this point. I just have not had an opportunity to draft the required notices and take what DLZ has given me and packet it correctly to provide to each of the landowners. So that's on me.
But we're moving forward with that, so we
Move
can
ahead.
get our, that's not gonna hurt. Next bridge, Bridge 100, Getty Road. It is, I always call it the high wall bridge for anybody that's not familiar with it. So I kinda wanna ask you a couple preferences on this. Reed Road, we done on annual bid. So annual bid, KOB come in, they put a do not exceed price on the labor. The county provided all materials, concrete, gravel. We hauled off the old concrete, we hauled in the gravel, and we're paving it, so we're more involved on the project. It's a pretty tough price to beat, but it's kinda, I wanted to ask what your all's, we can put it out to bid just like anything else and see what numbers we get from other contractors if you want. But I think once we do that, that's a bid we go with. If not, we can go just like we did on 104 and handle it the same way. I believe that's where our best prices are gonna come in at, because we're buying everything straight from the vendor instead of getting tacked onto. This won't work on every bridge, 105 wouldn't even be in the picture for something like that. But, that's kind of your all's preference, I wanted to put it out there. We tried one, it's worked good so far, but we can also do it another way.
How big is that bridge?
I'll send you the, I got the prints, let me send you the prints, and let you look at them, I can't remember off the top of my head the exact size.
So
But
what
it's
you're
the
saying-
same structure like we put in at Reed, so
Yeah.
if you have an opportunity to drive out there, it'll repeat.
Oh, is it? I don't think it's even quite that big.
It is, it is because of the hydraulics, because of the reservoir being up above it and the requirements for that. So it's actually not as big as Creek per se, but the size that it has to be.
The
for that.
span is gonna have to be the same.
Yeah.
What, tell me the advantage. I guess the advantage is if we bid it out, we're gonna bid that somebody else is gonna haul the stuff off and do all the other stuff that we did on, ourselves.
It just depends on what we put on the specs. So let's just say we put it all in but the asphalt. Say we're just gonna go out and pave it ourselves, well, I wouldn't, yeah. So if the contractor bids everything, all the material, all the rock, all the labor, all the hauling.
He puts his money on top of the rock and on top.
Yeah, more likely he's gonna make more money. You know?
Of course.
So, but, I mean, like I said, every one of them has their own special niche. And I think Getty Road would be okay or it would be okay to do just like Reed. But we can put it out a different direction if you want to. It's kind of up to you guys.
In my opinion, I think we need to keep, it's worked for us on Reed, I think we need to.
I mean, we're not gonna be, we're gonna be out manpower, whatever it is, the rest of it's gonna be, You're saying on the Reed Road that we save money by doing that, correct?
Yeah, so we're buying material vendor direct. So we're buying, we brought the bridge products and the guardrail off of Silicon.
And we got guaranteed prices on.
Yeah, I'm locked in on that. And then we're buying our aggregate from our annual bid from Hanson, which is, they changed their names, but they're
Yeah, I saw
proper.
that the other day.
So we're buying off the annual bid cheaper than anybody else could buy it. We get a better bid. Then we're buying our concrete direct from IMI, so we're not getting that.
Well, Getty
Percentage
Road's
on
pretty
top.
close. It's not like it's on the west side of the county and you're
No.
hauling all the way across the county.
It is close.
And 30% more markup's usually pretty standard for contractors.
Typically, they're gonna come in tight because hopefully it's competitive bids on it, so. But, that's what I said. I felt like the one worked, but it's not that we have to do it like that. We don't have to do this. If you want to table, we'll talk about it. And the next meeting, maybe let me know and I can.
So when do you plan on doing it?
I think just as soon as you let me know, we'll get, Andrew going to get the paperwork to get it ordered. It probably takes maybe around 6, 7, 8 weeks to start getting the structure in. It's definitely a this year thing.
Is the ratings really high on that bridge, all around ratings?
Yeah.
It's good. It's a bad one.
Yeah, it ain't going nowhere.
I'm fine with doing what you did. We're not, the only way we'd be out anything is just manpower.
We're out a little manpower on it, but I think it saves us quite a bit on it.
We're paying them anyway.
Yeah, and we're not, it doesn't entail a lot of dollars, some, but not tons. We're just kind of hit and miss, bringing rock and hauling away the material, so.
Start to finish on Reed. When did they start that bridge?
The projection was 6 to 8 weeks, so
Projection.
I can't think off the top of my head, but it's probably been 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It hasn't been long.
I'd say we're probably looking at the same
Yeah.
for
Probably.
Getty, 6 to 8 weeks.
I think Getty's gonna be a little longer, cause it's a little bigger structure. The rock, we've all found out there is it's some bad stuff. They had a hard time getting through it, so I think it's the same kind of rock on Getty Road, so. Consultant done a little redesigning on that to help out with that issue.
Well, I remember the one on Plymouth.
Yeah, same way.
They had a good jackhammer out there, jackhammer creek bed.
That's what they've done with this one, so.
Yeah, and then tighten hoses up every, what do they say?
Like every hour or something, they gotta get out and tighten all the hoses.
Every hour
up.
or two, they're sitting there tightening hoses up and busting hoses and.
Well, that'll work. We'll plan on, Bridge 105, we'll plan on getting that advertised and the bids coming in on July 19th. Getty Road, we'll plan on getting that going in the right direction to get the material ordered. So hopefully those 3 bridges, could possibly, 100 will definitely be done, and 105 will be on its way. So, just a couple of things. I got an old pressure washer, and all the signs, maybe some signs are bad ones, and the old poles from the federal aid projects that they took up, I was just gonna put them on gov deals, if you're all good with that. We're gonna keep like maybe a skid of the poles and then go through and keep the good signs out of it. And then I guess we could put I don't see no reason we couldn't just put the signs on gov deals, somebody probably buying it. The shot up ones and faded ones and stuff.
Shot up. Why don't we give them to the thieves that's been stealing the other ones?
Yeah, you might be.
They won't let that.
They won't. We might be surprised what they
We
bring.
just call and say, hey, you know, if you want a sign instead of stealing it, go to jail.
They won't take those.
No.
Well,
Maybe we put them out in a field and put them on a sign and they'll go out there and bowl them or tear them down.
we'll put them on, we might be surprised what they bring.
So they're done with that project?
They're done with that project. They're doing their, they're supposed to send me, an invite to kind of wrap up for it, but they're finishing up last few inspections.
I've seen a lot of them out. I mean, they look nice.
Yeah, they look good. They was good to work with.
And they're straight.
Across straight. So far, so good.
Let's hold off on them signposts just for a minute.
Okay. That's not a big issue, so.
I had something I wanted to talk to you about with those.
Okay. Just let me know. That's no big deal. They're just laying there.
Maybe we might be able to make some grading. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Probably not all of them, because there's a lot of poles there. So I wanted to touch on the Keene Bridge budget and equipment and a few things we have here. Bridge 104, which is the Reed Road Bridge. The appropriation balance we had for that bridge is $296,000. We're on target, we think, coming around 230. You know, we're gonna find out real quick. So that's positive. Bridge 100, we have $682,730 on appropriation. We're thinking we're gonna be around 350 to possibly 4 range on that, but I believe it'll be more around the 350 range. When we appropriated the money on there, we was looking at full, you know, kinda like 105. And we ended up going a different route, which will work out fine for us. So just kind of the outlook on that. Right now, the appropriation for bridge repair and maintenance that we don't have allotted currently is $325,000. So the Keene Bridge budget has some options that we can use. One is for labor, extra labor. One is for equipment. So I just kind of want to give you a rundown on that. It is something we could use to buy mowing equipment at CC. That was kind of the rundown of where the Keene Bridge budget sits right now. I think.
So what's the balance? I mean, what are we starting out with? Is that the 900-some thousand?
Yeah, so let's just say the balance right now that we can say 100% is 325,000.
Okay.
Because
so
bridge 100 is 682,000. We're going to come around 350, 400, but let's don't do that because until we get done with bridge.
But you're saying there's 325 right there now, but there could be a savings of at least $300,000 more.
Yes.
And then there's about $60,000 savings on Bridge 104.
Yes. I also, now that you're talking about that, and this kind of a broad spectrum of things, from a really viable resource, CCMG can be used for small structures and small bridges. So it will qualify for those kind of things. So we need to keep that in.
You keep calling small structures like culverts and smaller.
Well, I mean, like something that's under a bridge, but it's still almost a bridge price, because it's like 17, 18 feet. But it will, we are still getting our bearings on, but I think that's good to know, because we're only talking about 25% of that cost, which is pretty substantial on that. So, that all boils down to what I've been preaching forever. You could use your CCMG for other things if you could get into the preservation world, but we can't seem to get through on that.
We're gonna get there.
Anyway, the tractor, I think I sent you all that an email. That was just one option for the lease program. It could be paid through that. So anyway, it was an option.
I just wanna correct the newspaper since they misquoted this. Of that tractor that we were, or the mowing equipment that we were buying was $224,919 and not $280,000, so.
249, I think is what was on there, so.
It was 249, I'm sorry. It was just a few over.
So you're asking whether or not we want to appropriate?
I don't need a correction either.
Mower through the.
So we have an option of our cubic rate is 0.4899. It generates around $350,000 a year is what it generates. Right now we're sitting on 100% positive budget of 325. You can see what it would cost us a year out of that to appropriate a mower. But that's what I'm saying. Money there, yes. CCMG is going to qualify for their different structures.
Well, I know we've, this board has, in my opinion, followed all the rules and regulations of purchasing to, advertise and take the bids and open the bids and take the bid. Actually, it was the lowest bid, in the class of what, of the mower was. And let me just clarify, a 90 horse John Deere, I believe it was, with the side mount mower was 210 or 200 and something.
A little over to you.
So I mean, so you have a tractor with a side mount mower on it compared to a mower that is made to do just that and not take the side mower off and go plow a field someplace. But anyway, this board is still, in my, I think it's still looking, and I'm not gonna say this board, me personally, I'm still, I think, looking at, trying to find a way, because like I said, I think if there's a department in this county that is underfunded, and I say that in a kind of a weird way, because you spend a lot of money, but what you have, the heavy equipment that you need to do your job every day is expensive. I mean, it's not like buying a car for somebody or a pickup truck for somebody. You're talking about a couple $100,000 or $300,000 for some equipment. If we went out and bought a track hoe or, a excavator or something like that, I don't know where we'd go to get the money. I mean, I guess we'd all buy lottery tickets, but when it comes to the highway department, and you're funded differently than a lot of people, but with COVID, and I hate to keep going back to COVID, but with COVID, a lot of your money that you generate comes from fuel sales tax, and if everybody remembers 2020, you were told to stay home and not go anywhere, so guess what? You weren't buying any fuel. So, I mean, and I kind of said this before about the state government, is that, and I got a check too, but I mean, if instead of the state legislature or the governor handing back tax money back to every taxpayer in Scotland or in Indiana, I'd like to see him take that money and put it in the highway departments, which, you know, every one of those people that he gave a check to were driving on those roads and crossing those bridges but that's my opinion and.
Yeah.
But I think we, as a county government, when we have the opportunity and the funds, we need to try to, as Randy has said multiple times, we need to, everybody's gonna drive on a road and everybody's gonna walk down that road and everybody's gonna cross that ditch and I don't think you're out of place by what you proposed and we're just gonna have to find a way, so. That's yours.
Transportation, work and equipment's expensive.
Yep.
I mean, that's just bottom line.
I'm gonna say, you know, we have done our due diligence on deciding to go with this mower. And, more and more counties, more and more municipalities are going to this type of mower. And they're doing it, you know, because they recognize there's an issue with tractors holding up and doing the job. You know, the tractors ain't made like tractors was back in the 60s and 70s. They've gotten cheaper and cheaper, and it's just like the auto industry. They know exactly when something's gonna fail, and they've got it planned out to how much it's gonna cost you to get it fixed. And I know years ago, and I'm getting off subject here a little bit, but years ago I used to work at Toyota Industrial Equipment Manufacturing, and the forklifts we sold, they made very little off. But they knew they was gonna make a fortune off that piece of equipment over time and the parts that it took to repair that. And, you know, what you're bringing before us is a piece of heavy duty equipment for mowing. And,
Well, you know,
if
something
you're
else
wanting to use the,
Randy, I mean, we're also talking about, you know, $1 million to pay. I mean, what are we talking about, 3 roads? I mean,
Right.
it's not going far.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, that's why Kevin's in here, and that's why we talked about chip seal equipment, that's why we talked about preservation methods, that's why we talked about trying to save money where we can. $1 million, you know, just for, and I know the public likes to see a paved road, that money doesn't go very far anymore.
no,
That work just does not stretch, and so we gotta figure out how to take care of other needs, bridges, small structures. It's all a lot of money.
Infrastructure's the same way, and when you preserve those roads and open up other opportunities for CCMG to do other things that we don't know how we're gonna fund.
Exactly, that's what makes me nervous, because I know we need a tremendous amount of money to fund all of these other needs that we have out there when it comes to our infrastructure.
Well, I know when I've been here 6 years, and I remember when I first came here, that I think a mile of road was like $45,000 if it was contracted out. And we could actually do it for like $10,000 cheaper for us doing it. That's why we got into the kind of the paving business, because we could go farther on our dollar than we could by somebody else doing it. Well, that's kind of flipped, because now it's not $45 or 45,000 a mile. It's 90 some or more now. I think last year it was $90,000 for the same mile of road that you used to get for 45. Now it's over $100,000.
Keeps going up.
And so, you know, I don't see that coming down. I mean, so we do need to do the road preservation. I drove on a road today, and if, you know, I used to watch the state do this out there with the oil and the mixture filling all the cracks, and I mean, and you think, my God, how tedious was that? And but it preserves the road, and I'd be one that said I hated chip seal, because, you know, you always frowned and dropped your head when you saw the state out there, and you thought, well, here comes a big dust bowl for, you know, a couple of weeks, and but those are, we can, you know, and I'm going back from old time, you know, quotes here. That same $35,000 or $40,000 to pave a mile of blacktop road, you could chip seal for 10.
Yeah.
So, and it's not the same process and it's not the same thing, but it will preserve that road. And I know the grass and the PowerPoint that you showed us on a 30-year plan, we're gonna save this county millions of dollars. I mean, and we don't have that millions of dollars,
We don't have
so.
it.
And we've already invested millions of dollars, why not extend the
Yeah.
life cycle of that payment?
That's exactly
for
right.
another 6 to 10 years, depending on what road.
Yeah, I think the most important way to look at it is, you know, we're not replacing asphalt with chip seal, we're just preserving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still gotta pay things, there's no
Yeah.
doubt, but you're still keeping that road at a quality standard. That's what we're trying to do, is
Well,
keep the road at a quality.
We came a long ways from what we used to have.
Less
Less than that. Less than that.
It's almost,
We came a long ways from what we used to have, and quite honestly, a bad road now is a good road. And, I mean, it beats driving down a gravel road, and, so, again, I know you came into this job with a plan, and you're trying to work your plan, and, you know, you got my backing to, and I think, you know, as far as this chip seal stuff, I think you got both of our, or all three of our approval, and we're gonna try to push as hard as we can to get you the equipment, so.
I'm not getting it. But
It might be like Hamburger Hill.
do we wanna go ahead and, I would like to go ahead and
You know,
I'd like to go ahead and approve Kevin's purchase of the whole out of Q Bridge.
Is it on the agenda?
it is on
Yes,
this.
it is.
Do you,
I mean, we've been talking about this.
the
for
thing
2
of it
years.
is, do you want to do, that's what you have to talk about. This would be the, if you was gonna do it, I think that's the route, because we don't wanna expend that budget. But can we do it at a rate of this? Yes,
With the payment.
with that,
Yes,
which obviously adds cost, but that's your decision on that. But,
it's a safety net.
it is, and are the funds there? Yes. That would be the route I would go on that.
Is there any
Since we're
possibility,
not going
and this,
the other way.
this is the only place that I would cringe on this proposal is the interest rate. And, is the interest rate, and, you're almost paying 6 more months that, and I guess my question to you would be, do you foresee any way that we can pay it off early?
Yes.
And is that agreement,
Yeah,
and
it's
that
early.
agreement says
There's
we're not
no early
penalized?
payout.
Okay.
You know. So, yes, there is, but, you know, that's decisions you all will have to make. Will there be leftover funds that we're gonna save off 100 and 104? I can say with certainty, yes, there is. Do you wanna expend that, or do you wanna pay it in that sequence? Yeah, that would be your all's option.
My only question is, the bid that we accepted for, is this the bid that we accepted for that piece of equipment?
Yes.
The 224,
And did the bid specification allow for
lease down.
a lease down?
I'm gonna say it probably didn't.
I mean, it was just a bid price, the equipment, I think every piece of equipment has options
You can
that,
choose to,
I mean, you call it a lease, but it's a loan, I mean, every piece of equipment had an option.
it's not.
It's not like, it's a loan.
A lease is different. A
Well,
lease-
actually, is that a lease or is that a?
It's
They're-
5 years and you own it and you pay interest.
A loan agreement is an agreement with a third-party provider that, the debt is due the day you take the loan. Okay,
So they're getting their cash up front.
I mean, you owe the money the day you take it.
That's it.
A lease agreement, especially a lease to purchase, you owe the debt when it's due throughout the lease period. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's like a,
That's considered a municipality.
I
They
am
all
not gonna say that I'm a secure transactions attorney, right, but it's basically like a security interest in a piece of property. And until the lease is paid off, the seller still has the right to repossess. So you don't owe the full amount. You owe the amounts, like year one, January 1st, you owe that amount. Year two, you owe that amount. A loan is, I took out $224,000, year one, and I owe that amount year one. I mean, I don't.
I see what you're saying, but we've done multiple lease to own.
Yep, I'm just saying, if it's
Was it
not
bid that
a
way?
loan,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Just about every company offers that with their equipment,
It's an option.
it's an option.
And we've done that.
Yeah.
We've done it with dump trucks, we've done it with, that paver. I mean, that paver's still on
Yeah, pay off this year, yeah.
so.
Favors,
I think this month, isn't
yeah, it's actually, probably it might be an urgency, or
it?
there's something
It
on.
might be, I don't think it is, I think it'll be the next one,
The
it's
next
the 24th.
It's right there.
So are you, Zach, are you saying we can't do it this way, or are you saying that we can do it this way?
2 years.
I think you can do it this way. I just wanted to clarify
Well,
how
but-
we are running.
How we are doing it.
Okay. So,
It's an option, we can cover it, if we have a tax rate for it, that's,
is it still available?
they actually called me today and, wanted to know if we was gonna put our name on it. It's still coming in July, and of course, they're looking to sell them, so yeah, it's still available.
So what do you want me there?
I'd like to make a motion to allow Kevin to purchase this mower out of the Kingbridge fund that we've been talking about for 2 years. The man needs a mower, I think it's time to go.
Well, like I said a minute ago, you have the belief, and I think you laid it back on me or us when I said, because the issue I have with doing it that way is the $25,000, $27,000 interest that we're gonna pay over 5 years. That's why I said, can we pay it off early and get out of that interest? Because it seems like we just shoot ourselves in the damn foot all the time about missing payments or doing something that ends up costing the taxpayers money because we don't pay our bills on time, and it upsets me to no end that, why are we doing that? Pay our bills when we're supposed to have them, quit paying extra for, the payment, so.
Can I make one statement on that? I know we've been fighting with the council over the ARPA funds. But essentially, we have to appropriate that money, by around September 2024, I believe is the date I heard. So, that's, a little over a year from here, or from now. I think if we just turn around and just, even if Kevin cannot pay for it, the bridge does not come in the way they expected, we still have the option of turning around and saying, in September, we put that into the ARPA funds to pay for that tractor and out of ARPA. And if the council doesn't agree, they can turn around and give it back to Biden or the government, or they're gonna agree to let us do this because they're out of time and they can't do anything.
Not that you
else.
wanna do that, but that is an option, though it is more money that you don't pay your basic payment for a year, but that's your first payment.
Yeah, so. Well, I agree with that. I mean,
I can tell you, I'll give you this, I run the Massey for the last 5 to 6 weeks, 7 days a week. For 8 to 10 hours during the week, and then the weekends, 10 to 12 hours. So, putting all the pressure on that machine. The Land Pride on the Challenger blew the hydraulic pump, we just ordered one for a couple $1,000. I think we just about had to fix it no matter what, so.
when's the other mower coming
You're looking at 8 or 9 weeks for the parts. Part of it is, they called it landed, so I'm assuming the other parts are coming from overseas, so let's hope it shows up.
in? We're talking about the new one that we just bought?
No, the side mount mower that the council voted for the Challenger.
Yeah, that's why.
Challenger's still a great tractor, it really is. But I want everybody to keep in mind, the Challenger is a 2011, I think, or 10. So
Sounds
it's
right.
13,
10.
14. So I mean, it's still got probably 7, 8 good, years in it.
You know, and that's something else. I mean, I don't know if people realize this or not, but you just touched on, or actually you just said it, I just wanna make sure it's clear. You ran that tractor, what'd you say, 7 days?
Yeah,
7 days for 10 to 14 hours a day?
on the weekends, sometimes it ran, you know, 13 days.
At 1,500 RPM all day long. When
It's a good
some
machine, but it's
people
not gonna
come
be a
to
good
us-
machine for long.
When some people comes to us and they say Mahandra, or they say something around a 40 horsepower tractor, boys, it will not hold us.
It's inadequate for what he needs.
That's exactly right.
We're looking
Actually,
for,
this,
I mean,
and going back to the mower that we're talking about, the one we approved already, the RPMs on that thing drops. I mean, it's, you know, it wasn't running at, you know.
well, I mean, it's made for it, that's all I can say.
I mean, it's not
Yeah.
sitting there screaming the motor while it's sitting there you know, mowing or cutting wind.
My goal for the preservation and for everything was to provide a better service. This machine provides a better service. It cuts way back further, it mows 5 mile an hour compared to 2 mile an hour. It is not apples to apples comparison. You can compare it to a $150,000 tractor. It's not a comparison because it's not a $150,000.
It's not a tractor motor, it's an industrial motor.
Simple as that.
Cause I mean, he's got a way to pay for it. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, Randy mentioned something about the council. I mean, I think we all tried to work together. Everybody's got different views of what may be needed and this and that. And they're all genuine, you know, concerns that everybody has with, and we have a lot of stuff out there that's going, but, you know, when we talk about buying a piece of equipment that we know that's adequate to do what you need to do, we've already seen it. We've looked at the bid prices, that you brought in here, and they're not upside down from each other. They're all fairly close. We could buy a cheaper piece of machinery, but what happens when it's broke down and it's in the shop? The grass continues to grow, people still call in, they still complain. You know, I'm for buying something that we know that we can go out there and do the job with, so.
Yeah, I feel like I've done my due diligence on it. I've talked to fleet managers across the United States. I've talked to every superintendent within 6-hour shot from here.
well, didn't you just tell me yesterday that you went down someplace and there's 3 Kubotas with side mount mowers in the shop being worked on?
Yeah, the Terran King, and they're good tractors and good side mount mowers, and the mechanic and superintendent said
It is what
they
it is.
stay in here all the time. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, and that's why I tried to point out in our meetings before, you know, even at Purdue Road School, these companies are there trying to highlight their equipment. These cheap companies are not there, you know. That's why these type of mowers are there, and they're on, you know.
I picked this mower over
You're saying you
the
don't
mower
shake my
max
hand
because
over?
it's been a business. Been in business for 26 years.
Well, and that's where
John brought that up to the guy Collins, and I said, you know, that's probably a good point. Well, right here's a company that's been in business for 26 years.
also, I mean, I kinda heard and I don't know where I heard from, one of the salesmen or one of the employees from the company, but, you know, I might get this wrong, but under the understanding that when they came to the United States, they were, you know, they weren't really looking for somebody to, co-op with them or whatever, but if I'm not mistaken, John Deere went to them wanting to buy them, or wanting to be a dealer for their machinery. And, you know, if John Deere, which is one of the top, I'd say top 2 or 3 tractor implement companies in the world probably, but I mean, if they're wanting to buy into this company or wanting to sell that product, then that tells you, gives you a little credit.
That's a testimony.
That, you know, they know what kind of machine it is. So I'm like Randy, we've talked about this, and sometimes I know the money's, anytime you're spending that kind of money, you always wanna make sure you're doing your due diligence and talking to people and looking at all the options, and I think we've done that, and I think we beat it in the ground, actually more than what we probably would for any other thing we've ever purchased. I mean, we're gonna spend $1.5 million possibly on a bridge that thousands of people are gonna drive across, and I guarantee we won't talk that bridge to death, like we have this tractor, so, or this mowing, I wouldn't call it a tractor, this mowing machine, so, if you got the money and you can spend how you've got it, again, the only issue I have with doing it this way is that I wanna find a way to pay it off, because I don't wanna pay the interest, but.
Yeah, I think we all 3 wanna pay it off as quick as possible.
I think that can come with, the, kinda like I just told you, that our other structures are gonna be qualified for CCNG. So some of these structures that I see coming up, if we can qualify them at 25% rate.
Well, also, I'm gonna
That's,
give you,
I mean, we're gonna have this payment no matter what, but we're gonna help beef up our Cambridge fund tremendously.
I'm gonna say something, because you came to us tonight and said, hey, our guys can help out here on Bridge 104, our guys can come out here and help on Bridge 100, and save money for the county, which in turn goes back into this fund here. So if your guys are willing to go out there and assist a contractor that's putting this bridge in and going the extra, to me, I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't try to go the extra to help you guys to get you the equipment that you need.
That's exactly right.
So,
Good point, Mike.
because you could have said, screw it, let a contractor.
It's easier on me to just bid it out, let the contractor have it.
So,
Well, sure it would.
to me, your guys are going the extra to save money over here, knowing that money is gonna go back into a coffer that maybe they can buy something else, so I think that's.
I mean, everybody's always willing to cut their throat if the grass ain't mowed.
Oh, I guarantee
So,
I've never.
let's give them the equipment to actually mow the
I've
grass.
only had one person call me about a pothole, and I've had multiple people call me about the grass, so.
That's strange how that works. It's true though.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah, so what's the pleasure?
I wanna make a motion for, Kevin to purchase this mower out of the King Bridge Fund.
Through this option, do you need to say that, Mike?
Yeah, so there's 2 options, but we're gonna talk about the first option, which is a
So
30.
we agreed just to use the King Bridge Fund, and then,
Well, I don't think we wanna go with the second option, so I mean, the first option is this, on a 5-year plan, and this is if we wait a year to make the first payment.
yeah. That's what I think. What do you think?
And quite honestly, we could, for $2,000, I guess maybe you could say, okay, we're gonna wait for a year from the time, is that the time we take possession of it?
That's the time the first payment's due, now you'll take possession.
But what I'm saying is, the year starts when we take possession, and a year from that point is when we make that first payment?
I'm gonna have to give you an assume on that, I would say. Probably
That's what I'm
whenever you
saying
sign the
Is
dotted
that
line, I'd
if
say.
if you see that you're gonna have all the money in Bridge Coon, and you're gonna know that for a year,
Yeah,
you don't make any payments for the first year until the first year comes
Until you
in.
got your money established. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, so it's no money out of your pocket.
Yeah. Out of what's in your cumulative, yeah. I'm following.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I can tell you, I guess where I would be at with that is, I can present it to you at the end of the year where you're at, what I project this needing over the next X
But I
amount
guess
of
the
years, which is a fair amount of money.
But I guess the question there is, instead of it being a $50,000 for 5 years, it's gonna be 52,000 some odd dollars for 5 years, correct?
I personally think the 50,000 is probably the way to go. And then anytime if we're able to shore it up out of us cost savings through that, which I believe we will, and especially if we can get some stuff going through CCMG on that side of things, a huge cost savings. I feel like that's what I would go with.
Now that you said that, I was just, the only reason I was saying wait a year
I get you.
was that
Yeah,
you may have the money and say, okay, I can just pay for it.
Right. Well, and then also, if you're doing it on the end of the year, then there's a bigger chance that we can use the ARPA funds that we'll allocate later to take it out of instead of coming out of this fund. But,
Yeah.
I get what Kevin's saying.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to allow Kevin, Highway Department, to spend $224,919 for a 5-year lease on, this mowing, piece of equipment. It'll be, the first payment's due 30 days after the lease commencement, and 5 years at $50,000 a payment, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes that motion, Greg? Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so we'll get your mowing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, there we go.
You want a party now?
That was 2 years back on your live. All right, what do you want now?
Lots of stuff. Okay.
We
The
just spend a
first
lot of
thing-
money, it's gonna be no, you know that, right?
I don't think I have to spend
She's
money
always-
tonight.
Yeah, well, you always come here with your own
I
money,
do have to
never
spend money,
mind.
but it's not.
You always come with your own.
Yes.
That's good. It's always good to have a
Yeah,
balance.
Thank
it's
you.
very refreshing.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a fees ordinance. Basically, this is really out of date. I think it was updated in 1989.
Fee schedule for what kind of
Basically,
fees?
all of our services that are not in an ordinance, the cost to provide those services. Jennifer, did you send them a copy of this?
Yeah.
Okay, so birth certificates was not in the 1989 one. Septics were not in there, and then nursing. Basically, we have to update it because we want to take our TB test from $10 to $15 because the serum is so expensive that I'm losing money on it, which I'm still going to be losing money on it, but at least it's a little bit better. And so in order to do that, Zach said we had to have an ordinance, and you guys have to approve the ordinance. So I would like this to take effect as of July 1, if that works out with all the readings and stuff you guys have to do. But basically, the only fee that's changing is our TB testing is going from $10 to $15. And then just to clean it up, we added all of our other fees that were not included in the 1989
You
ordinance.
said something earlier, and this is a personal question. I know none of you were there when this happened, but there was a time when you guys would do a birth certificate on it, like a credit card type thing.
A birth certificate on a credit card type thing.
Yep.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Your birth certificate was,
Oh, on the wallet size. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't make that as an option anymore, like the special paper.
I lost mine,
And really, the wallet size, they want the copy that has
It had the
The seal on
It
it.
did have the seal.
Yeah, so beaver, that was a rare breed. They don't make them
Yeah, I
anymore.
left it
They
on-
don't make the paper to do that
I
anymore.
left that on the road and Alabama someplace.
Yeah, so now you just have to pay $10 and get a big one.
I got one, but I like that one because
I know,
it's
fits in
my
your wallet.
billfold.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, they don't make this special paper anymore that had the big copy on top and the little copy on bottom. So,
all right, sorry.
so I think you guys, I don't know how many readings you
We
have to do.
At least
It
two.
was advertised, so
Well, we
we're
have
good
to
there.
have one, we have to have one tonight,
Okay,
and then it has to be open to where the public can do what we did like on the transfer station, where they
Okay.
can have the opportunity to come in and speak, and if they don't want to speak, then we can pass on the next one. So-
okay. I will have Brittany bring that back then on the 20th.
And that's
So you guys-
only on things where we're changing prices,
Okay,
because if it was something
that didn't have a price.
trivial, we could have done it all tonight.
Okay.
If it was all unanimous.
Sure, okay. So that's your first,
All right,
item.
well, let's do that before we go anyplace.
Yes.
All right, do we know what the ordinance number is?
4.
So is it 230?
2023.
It's 20.
2023, right?
Dash
Dash
004.
04, yeah.
Okay. All right, let me read this. Ordinance 2023-04, whereas Scott County Health Department is to provide various health services, including but not limited to testing, certificates, and immunizations, and whereas the Scott County Board of Health is authorized to establish certain fees and charges for the vital records testing and immunization services, and whereas the Scott County Board of Health desires to increase the fees charged by the Scott County Health Department for such testing and immunization effective as July 1st, 2023. Now therefore be it ordained by the Scott County, Indiana, that the Scott County Board of Health and the Scott County Health Department be hereby are authorized to charge the following fees for services offered by the Scott County Health Department. Vital record birth certificates, $10 a copy. Death certificates, $15 a copy. Affidavits, name change, $20. Sanitation, septic installer, annual permit fees, $50 per installer. New on-site sewage system applications and permits, $100. Site inspection letter, $40. Partial on-site sewage system repair permit, $40. Nursing, immunizations, $5 administrative fee underinsured, $25 flu shot underinsured, or actually it says uninsured.
Yeah, that's right.
What's,
That's
is that a
the,
TB?
yes, your TB skin test.
test, $15. Shot record copy for HIV, hepatitis, and STD testing, $20. And it says, be it further ordained by the Scott County, Indiana Board of Commissioners, and fees are set forth in the ordinance are to be effective as of July 1st, 2023. All right. Again, Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, because it has fees established. We can pass it tonight, but then we have to have a
We gotta do
public hearing. Okay.
Yeah, we can pass it on first reading and.
Okay.
Do we need to advertise for the public hearing? Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the ordinance 2023-04.
I will make that motion.
Randy makes the motion to accept, the ordinance 2023-04. Greg?
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous. So, since we all voted tonight, do we sign this tonight, or we hold on to it till the next meeting?
I would just show in the minutes that it passed on first reading, and then,
Wait till after the public hearing?
wait till the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna hold on to that.
I'll actually give it to Jennifer, if that's okay with you.
All right, what else you got?
So we need to renew, 2 more billboards. I know we did this last time, but this is from our immunization grant. So they're the billboards, right over Centra. You have like the basketball flu shot one. And then in Austin, across from Best Donut. It's just every 6 months we change the imaging on those. So this one will just be like, kind of like a back to school theme.
Saw that.
So that is all I'm asking for, is to renew that contract.
And this is through the money you already have? the grant?
Yep, immunization grant, it's for a total of $2,872.
I'll entertain a motion to renew that contract.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes the motion to renew the immunization billboard renewals. Greg? I'll second. Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous.
Thank
So,
you. Okay, Our rent in Austin, it comes up for renewal on July 1st. So that is also paid through our local health maintenance grant. It's a calendar year grant, so we put that money in there at the beginning of the year, and then this grant comes up in July. So that does some of our HIV services. We do immunizations out of there. We're gonna hold a back to school event there this year, since we kind of have one in Austin, one in Scottsburg. So yeah, our total, our monthly rent is $2,056.45, which I think is like a 2% increase from last year.
Out of curiosity, doesn't matter, but do we pay that monthly, or do we pay it one time for the whole year?
No, we pay it monthly.
Okay.
And this is just.
I mean, we probably could pay it in a lump sum, but I've just never asked.
Renewal.
It's a renewal, yeah, we've had that since we've rented our building, we've always rented a building, but we've just been renting from LifeSpring since 2020.
I'll entertain a motion to renew the contract, for the Austin office lease renewal for, is it $2,056.46?
$2,056.45 per month.
45. Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes the motion, Greg, Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
I will actually have you sign and print that one for me.
Who actually owns that place?
LifeSprings owns it.
LifeSpring, okay.
Yeah, they got an Okra grant about 4 or 5 years ago and redid it.
Paid it.
Yeah, they went through the county.
Yeah.
Yep. So
We
it's really
actually
nice
had
up
the
there.
Alpha grant, and,
It was $1 million, I think, and
yeah,
redid.
we were kind of a pass-through, the county government was a pass-through for LifeSpring, but.
Yes. Okay, then last order of business is, as you know, our grass ordinance,
Did you ever get a hold of him?
did not hear back from him. So our person that does do it right now, their contract is ending at the end of the month. And so we've sent out some letters about some overgrown properties. Right now, people have mowed them, but it's just getting that time of year where they're, we're sending out letters, and if they don't mow, then, our ordinance states that we can have somebody mow it for them and then put the money on their tax bill. So I put them in order of least expensive to most expensive for you.
Some people with the names of their businesses.
I know.
You know, that's catchy.
Yeah. So, and this is always like a really hard project to bid, because people want to say, well, I want to go out there and see the sites, and it's like, well, we don't know where the sites are and how bad they're gonna be, and yeah.
You might get burned on one and make it on another one.
Right.
Or
And
you
last year really wasn't a bad year. We had a lot of people that just complied.
But you talked about 12, didn't you say?
I think Tim said at some years, like they did, it was way more than that, but I think last year he only had to do 2 or 3. So it may not just be.
Well, always like the, well, I spelled your name wrong, so.
That's okay. Not the first time, not the last time.
What's your guys' comments, pleasure, whatever? I'm usually for the guy that's the cheapest, and he is in town, and actually, I think all 3 of them are in town.
And they all have,
All 3 of them are,
liability.
yes, they have that. So, what's your pleasure?
I'm going cheap.
All right, that's the case, Greg, same way. All right. Council, do I need to read out all the 3 of these quotes? They're all less than 200, or actually less than $300.
I would go ahead and read the amounts and
So everybody knows what that their bid got acknowledged. All right, Hiles Lawn Care and Landscaping, and this is all, your scope of work was 1 acre.
Up to no more than 1 acre, correct.
To mow 1 acre of land for $100 an acre. And he also has a note on it, can do trash, etc. So, Pain in the Grass Lawn Care LLC, they had overgrown lawns less or equal to an acre, at 100 and, well, actually, that's not really correct, because he's got tax on there, we're.
Yeah, so 115.
115, so $115. The last one is Nice Grass Lawns, and it's for He's got several rates here, but 2 to 8 inches, 1 acre, looks like $70, 8 to 12 inches tall, 1 acre, looks like 90, and a foot to 2 foot, an acre, 100, so at a rate of $260. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the lowest bid. You looking at that?
I kept looking at that page.
You looking at
I
that
don't know,
different?
I don't know if the back one,
Cause he's
it's
all.
kinda catchy, I don't know. That's what's on you guys, not on me.
Well,
That actually could potentially be cheaper.
that's why I saw that too, cause. But what he's done was, kinda,
That's his computer just added up.
he's
that
just added,
260.
he's added, cause if it's 2 to 8 inches, it's a $70 a cut. If it's 8 to 12, it's 90, and if it's over a foot to 2 foot, it's $100, so he's technically cheaper.
He is. But now, how often are you gonna call and tell him that to
Well,
know
that's-
something that is only 2 to 8 inches tall?
Well, it doesn't matter, cause.
8 maybe, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if he'll get out there with his ruler, but I would say that his cheapest is gonna be 90.
Yeah, but the
Right.
point of it is,
Even his
His-
most expensive is
He's
still
giving you
100.
small.
his most expensive is the same as the front bid.
Mm-hmm,
So he's actually, this shouldn't have been a 260 thing.
That's just his computer.
He did add it all up, so I'll entertain a motion for whichever one you want, cause they're both one the same, I think.
I'm gonna make a motion to go with nice grass.
and they're local as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Randy has made a motion to accept the quote for mowing, what kind of properties would we call those?
They're,
Kind of abandoned or?
no, they just violate our grass ordinance,
All
or
right,
violate the
For
ordinance.
violation of a county grass ordinance. And he's, gonna go with the Nice Grass Lawns LLC, Greg?
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, and I wanna explain that he has 3 different quotes, or 3 different quotes for different inches of grass, and so it could be a cost savings, I mean, maybe not, so.
If not, it's not gonna cost.
It's
us
not
any
gonna
more.
be the same as the other one, so.
I will get.
What else you got?
That's it, I just want to say this is my last meeting.
You can come back.
I can come back, I just will not be a county employee. I will be a state employee. So I will cover Scott County in my new position.
Was that, so why would I?
I'm sorry?
Was that, so why would I type answer?
No, like that's
Okay.
really in my job description. For this, my next position is to help health department administrators navigate the governor's public health money. So if they want me to come to a commissioners meeting, I will be there in the State Department of Health. Not talking nearly as much as I do here. But yeah, so, right? So yeah, but thank you guys for the opportunity. I know none of you guys were around whenever the commissioners hired me.
I was.
No, you weren't.
I believe so.
Larry, Kelly,
Really?
Bob. You came on
Well, you
to
probably
a
got
year or two in my time. So thank you guys though. I appreciate the opportunity. I've loved working in my home where I grew up and raised. So
And you moved
please
away?
let me know. Yes, but please let me know if I can be of any help. Anyway, it's always nice to have allies in the state. So
Well, thank you for the service that
Thank
you
you.
provided to Scott County.
Thank
You've done
you.
an excellent job in your position.
thank you. I appreciate that. So
Well,
We'll lean on you now at the state.
absolutely.
well, I'll echo that. I mean, we don't always see eye to eye on everything, and that's part of it. But I respect you, and I've known you since you were born, and always like to employ local people, so.
Definitely.
But again, appreciate all you've done and what
Thank
you
you.
brought to the table and the back and forth you and I have had, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm gonna ask the other question, do you have any idea where the board is on a replacement?
You know, Brittany, our nurse, I know she is interested in taking over. we've had several applicants come in. Applications don't close officially until Monday. So yeah, Dr. Rogers and Jean, who's our board chair, has had already, you know, they're in frequent communications about that and interviewing, so, they will be in touch once they, you know, have a final person for you guys, so.
Alright, well,
Alright,
Thanks, Michelle.
thank you guys, it's been
Appreciate
great
it.
to
Thank
work
you.
together, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
alright, thank
We will be
you.
calling you.
Okay, that's fine.
Promise.
Building superintendent position, where we at with that? And I guess I'm gonna make a comment here, cause there has been, a suggestion that I guess I'll just say it, or that we're possibly going to merge that position with another position. But we have to technically, or in my opinion, have to give the council to kind of talk to them about our intentions. So, does anybody wanna elaborate any more on that, or just kind of leave it where it is right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've currently got one who needs to have his salary increased.
Well, that's-
I don't know if we can make a motion to move that toward, council so they can get started on that
I don't think we
tonight,
can,
or?
I don't think until we talk with the council to tell them what our intentions are, I don't think we can really get the
Ask
cart
to do
before
that
the
yet.
horse,
Yeah.
so. And am I on the agenda for the council? Okay, so we'll bring that up to the council next week, so. So let's move on from there. Sign the Dossett contract for the auditor.
Yes. This is the one we
And
discussed before.
This is the one we've advertised and everything else and everything's correct. And we've ended the well, we can't end the contract or start the
We've already
30
sent the
days.
letter.
We've already sent it.
Okay, alright, that's where
So
I'm
it's,
getting
yeah,
at,
it's,
is that,
And we may be responsible for any work performed during this
Mhm.
cycle, but I don't know that there has been. And we've not received anything in response, to my knowledge, at least I have not.
he did call me and
Okay.
asked me, said, is there anything we've done? And I said, well, no, we want to change.
Yeah, that, I just wanted to make sure, you know, that we followed the agreement. I think we have, but it's been terminated at this point.
okay. I'll entertain a motion to, go with Dossett, as a, I guess a vendor
It's
for
a
the
title
auditor,
for, yeah.
a vendor for the auditor's office, so. I'll
I'll
entertain.
make that motion.
Randy makes the motion to enter into a contract with Dossett Construction, or Consulting, sorry. And this is year to year, I believe.
It can be either year
Is it-
or 3 years.
For the Scott County cost plan, I propose a yearly fee of $3,000, so Randy made a motion to accept Dossett Consulting. Greg
I'll second.
seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so. Back this way. Sign IDM agreement, is that what we were talking about, Zach?
Yes.
Do we have that?
Yes, we do.
And I want to ask a question, did we end up paying the $2,500 as well?
I have never gotten an invoice or anything on that.
I think we need to go ahead and send it
Yes.
with the,
Yes.
Send the 2,500 with it?
Yes.
Yep.
And I will say we'll just need to send it with it.
Okay.
You know what that is?
yes,
you know.
I've already read it. There's just a place for my signature if you guys are,
Okay.
I would just request you all approve it as a board and then I'll sign it.
It's fine. This is from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, this is about the transfer station.
Yeah.
And it's actually about, us getting in compliant with, IDAM, so, this is something Greg's worked on, with the people at the state, and this will make us whole. So I'll entertain a motion to sign this, with the state IDEM.
I'll make the motion, sign it for me.
Randy makes the motion to sign, this, agreement with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. Greg?
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so where it says responded, I guess that's where I'm signing
That
it.
is,
Well, it has a place for you too, but I guess.
Has responded.
you are respondent on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, and I am counsel for the respondent.
And Greg, I wanna commend you in an appreciation of all the phone calls and emails and
Yes, Greg.
everything else that, went on there.
And they will be on site tomorrow, so you guys.
Is that tomorrow? All right, while you sign that, cell phone ordinance. And this is an ordinance that we have to send to the council as well, because the council has to, because we have to amend the handbook, is that correct?
Yes.
So, the cell phone stipend that had been here for years and years and years, and the State Board of Accounts, that's been here for years, years and years. State Board of Accounts never liked how we were paying a phone stipend to employees without a cell phone ordinance or a cell phone policy. So, we have created a cell phone policy, or an ordinance that creates the policy to send it to the council, because for any updates to the county handbook, the council has to approve it as well. And so I'm going to ask at this time, do we have that ordinance?
Zach, or well, did he just hand it to
I
you?
just handed it to you.
Oh, I thought that was that other one, I'm sorry. So anyway, I guess, is this one gonna be 5?
Yes.
All right. Let me read this. Ordinance number 2023-OR-05. Ordinance and amending the Scott County Employee Handbook and establishing cell phone stipend policy for the employees of Scott County. Whereas pursuant to IC Code 5-22-2-13, the Scott County is a governmental body, and under IC Code 36-2-2-2, the Board of Commissioners is the county executive for the Scott County, and pursuant to IC Code 36-2-3-2, the county council is the county fiscal body for Scott County. Whereas the Board of Commissioners and the Scott County Council desires to adopt the following additional policies for the employees of Scott County. Whereas the policy described below does not repeal the existing Scott County Employee Handbook, and instead, the amendment adds an additional policy that is specific to cell phone stipends. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the Scott County and the Scott County Council of Indiana, each department head, including elected officials, may present Scott County Commissioners with a proposed cell phone stipend request. The request shall be in writing and define the employee's position within the department requesting a cell phone stipend. The written request shall also include a statement indicating the necessity of a cell phone stipend for each employment position contained within the request. Each cell phone stipend shall be in the amount of $50 per month. If the Board of Commissioners approves the written cell phone stipend in whole or in part, the approved stipend shall be submitted to the Scott County Council for appropriation request. This ordinance is effective upon the passage, signing, recording by the presiding officer of the respective executive and fiscal bodies of the county. So, wow. So, what's your pleasure? And I will go back to what I was saying first. was that the State Board of Accounts has kind of pushed us into creating this ordinance, changing the handbook, because they didn't like how we were just paying people $50 without a policy. So this cleans that up, so.
I'll make a motion to pass the ordinance, cell phone ordinance.
Randy makes a motion to pass ordinance number 2023-OR-05 about a cell phone policy stipend for county employees. Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. So, on this day. Six. 3 yeas and no nays. So, Senator John Henry. All right, ARPA money. I actually asked Jennifer to just kind of put this on so we could have a short discussion. And the discussion would be is that we received $4.6 million in ARPA money from the federal government. And as Randy said earlier, we have till the end of 2024 to allocate that money, and then at the end of 2026 to write the check and get rid of it out of our account. If we don't spend every last single penny of that money, it goes back to the federal government. So I know there's been discussion, I'll say, with the council about where this money is going to be spent, how it's going to be spent, and when it's going to be spent. But where there's a disagreement is, I think that is that there's an ordinance that states that the commissioners are the sole person that's going to spend or allocate the money, or not, and to whether it's purchasing something, paying for something, helping somebody out, or whatever that's going to be. It is the sole designation of that money is with this board. And I understand everybody's arguments about, you know, a project down the road or something else, but you know, that falls back into us. So I don't want to go any farther than that. I mean, I know I have my thoughts. I know Randy has his thoughts, Greg has his thoughts, and I'm sure as all the councilmen have their thoughts. But hopefully we can all get on the same page one day and move forward, because I for one don't want to be giving any money back. And I will say this, and this is my only thoughts, is that never in my time in this community have we received any kind of money like that it's almost, I know a lot of the younger people don't know what the Sears Wish book was or Christmas book was, but it entertained a lot of kids for a lot of times when, you know, and it was just that, a wish book. I mean, so my thought on this money is never will we get this opportunity again to spend it on some projects that we would never spend money on again, because we never say, okay, let's raise taxes or let's do this to come up with the money. So I think we've all thought about how we're going to spend it, and I still think that we're responsible enough in how we've done this, because we've had this money for almost 2 years now, and we haven't, you know, we've allocated some of it. We spent some on the roof. We gave the council back $200,000 of their money and put it back in a rainy day for them. and we spent money out of the ARPA money for that, for the roof. I mean, so, and or not the remodel, but the fixing the beam that was broke up there. So I think we've been responsible enough. But I'm just hope that we can come together as a government to continue to spend it in corrective ways, and I think we will. I mean, but that's all I want to say about it. So if you guys want to say something, you can. But
Well,
I just wanted to air it out there. You know how the money came here. How there is an ordinance out there that says who's going to determine and the process. So
I'm a big mouth, so I'll say something. This ARPA money, since it came into this county, has been a source of animosity. And hasn't stopped since it hit our door. And what Mike said is exactly right. The commissioners are supposed to allocate the money, and the council is supposed to appropriate the money. Well, what we should be doing is we should be governing and taking care of day-to-day business instead of fighting over a grant that we received. And in my opinion, what I would like to see us do is we should just go ahead and allocate where the money's gonna go. And in, I thought I heard in September of 24, but if that was the case, whatever the date is, you know, when the money has to be allocated by that date, we just wait a week. We're gonna give it to the council. We should give it to the council and say, here's what we'd like to spend the money on. And now you can go ahead and allocate it or appropriate it, or you can send it back to Biden. Now, it's a shame. I feel like, you know, that it's came to this, but I think the fighting over this is doing a terrible injustice to the people of Scott County. It's an embarrassment to me. And I want the money to help the people of Scott County. I think it ought to go to the people of Scott County. I don't think it ought to go to one department. I'm not saying that in fact, I'm gonna say the judge probably does, he does need more room. He absolutely does need more room. And I think we could leave a little bit of money in there to get that done. But I don't think the bulk of this money should go to the judicial branch. I think it needs to go back to the people who has to pay the money off. So that's my feeling on it. I'm gonna turn it over to Greg.
you got anything to say?
No, not really, you know, trying to be responsible with money, and we know we wanted to allocate a good chunk out to the highway department. They've got a lot of needs. And the only way that we can get to saving taxpayers' money is to invest in them now, or we'll never get there. So that was always been my way of thinking, make an investment now out there so we can save money down the road. Because we're doing things, and we've got things planned that will save money. So that's kind of where I was at with everything. It's just looking at how, you know, we can make the best investment, and the best investment is in our roads and bridges and infrastructure. So that's what I'd like to do. That was always my plan, to kind of try to shore them up to help us down the road, and that way that we can show savings over and over again with the things that we want to do now. So and I understand the council's point too. There's a lot of needs out there, but again, in my opinion, you know, the biggest need right now is for the highway department, and get us to a point where we start saving taxpayers money.
I agree. think so.
I agree 100%. I wish we could do it this year and start saving this year, but that apparently we can. Never mind.
Well,
I should leave it alone.
I'm gonna say one last thing, and now I'm gonna go on, but, I'm not saying that anybody on the council doesn't have the same thought process that we have, cause I think they do. We just have a difference of opinion of how to get there. So I'll just leave it at that. Hopefully we'll work that out. Everybody else that has a bump in the road every once in a while, we're gonna have a bump in the road, and again, they're fiscally conservative. They don't like spending money, just like we don't like spending money, but we have money that we have to spend, and what actually, I guess, goosed me a little bit was that, the federal government, you know, in several news conferences, if you've watched TV, has said that, they will possibly try to pull back any unappropriated money back to the federal government that hasn't been spent. Well, if we haven't allocated it someplace, and we have to fill out a report every quarter of where the money what money have we spent out of that, and where, you know, so they know how much we've allocated, they know how much we have left. So, you know, are they gonna call and say, hey, you know, you haven't spent the money, so, and we want it back, because, you know, got different parties in office up there, and, they feel like if they haven't spent that, then they want it back. So anyway, I'm not saying we're under a deadline, but I just feel like we need to do the best thing for every taxpayer in Scott County, and we'll get there. I mean, but I just wanted to bring it up tonight, kind of explain to the people, they've heard something, that this is what's going on, and that it will, you know, we'll come to a resolution, so. All right, moving on, consideration and power corrective action.
I don't know if you guys got my email, but you know, we had the issue with Empower and the money not being transferred over. We beat this to death about what it's gonna take. They came back with this, for the plan 78137, or 781371-01, the total gain to be allocated to the participants is $1,274.58. This will be debited from your account. There is no calculation fee, so we worried about the so much an hour. It was small enough they didn't charge us an allocation or calculation fee. The second plan, the same number but 02, total gain to be allocated to the participants is $976.56. This will be debited from your account. There's no calculation fee. The total for both accounts is $2,251.14. So we have sweat blood over this for $2,300.
Okay. Well, I just want, and I appreciate all that work to go back and figure it all out, because, you know, some people, and maybe to our employees' disadvantage, is that stock market took a big dump right then.
Yeah.
And they didn't make as much as they probably could have been making if it was earlier, so. I'm gonna ask a question, I know, I don't know if it has exactly this, is this, has anything to do with the other people asking about with the auditor with the State Board of Accounts that we asked?
No,
Okay.
That's a separate issue, that goes back to, again, I don't think we have any particular, and I'm not saying that nobody sitting in this room played any role in I guess, and I think still sitting here today, you know, I don't know exactly who or if anyone was affected, and it requires basically going back in time and looking at prior, I guess, you know, salary ordinances and pay matrices, and trying to figure out if there were not, if the amounts, you know, deposited in a particular person's account didn't match what should have been based on, you know, what the salary ordinance said at the time. So, I mean, that has nothing to do with the Board of Commissioners. I just wanna I mean.
I know that, but the reason I kinda got involved in it a little bit, because I don't want somebody out there saying that somebody got shorted something, and why that's, the auditor from the State Board of Accounts was here. That's why I just had a kind of idle conversation with her, and she said, I could probably do it in a day.
So we have sent a notification.
Yes.
I got a response because I went downstairs and talked to somebody who was down there.
That's the lady I was talking to.
Kimberly.
Well, it was just that she's on vacation, I think.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for her to come back. But it was actually sent up, I think, to another person in Indianapolis, and they're reviewing it, and they're supposed to get back to me.
I just don't want somebody or anybody out there saying that something was wrong and we didn't get it corrected.
Yeah, maybe let's just follow up with another email and say, hey, just,
Sure will.
Cause she
I
said,
think I received the email back that said basically, she's not gonna be back till this date, but.
And I think they moved it higher up the hierarchy is what I'm thinking. I think that passed up.
well, she said she would have to have somebody above her tell her to do it, but she told me that day that she could, I told her what the dates were and what we were looking for, and she said I could do that in a day, so. And I think she said she charges, or they charge $100 a day or something like that.
No, it's more like 900.
No, it's not, no, that was for federal.
Okay,
This
all right,
is-
well, maybe
this
I'm
is
off then, I
state.
thought, okay.
Cause she goes, it wouldn't be under the federal stuff, it would be under the state, cause she was here for ARPA.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a federal audit, which is $900 some a day, but she told me that, if she did this, it would be $100, $200, so,
Okay, that's,
a day.
yeah,
That's the state rate.
okay.
So anyway, we'll move on. Consideration selling.
Okay, these are the CDs that we've talked about since before I
Oh,
came in
okay.
here, that the Visitors Commission
Oh,
has
we're
held.
talking
and it's been
using
going back-
CDs.
No.
We're talking about money.
Yeah, and I just sent that to you, that lets you know, the number of each one, when it matures, what the penalty will be to sell it at this point. And if we can do that, Missy has to bring it in as the treasurer, she'll have to bring it in, and then we were thinking about just putting it in the unappropriated portion of the Visitors Commission fund.
The only thing I was ever concerned about with the CDs at the bank is that they're technically a board's CDs and not the Scott County government.
You don't care if they're held in CDs,
No.
you just want.
I wanna make sure they're ours.
The
I mean,
county.
and they should be set up in the treasurer's office or in the auditor's office and knowing we have these CDs over there, and I don't care what happens when they mature, cause I'm sure they're not drawing too much anyway. So, once they mature, they can just bring them into county government however you want. I mean, but I just wanna make sure that, the CDs are in somebody else's name technically right now, and we just need that cleaned up.
So do you wanna leave those as CDs and just,
I think our only concern was that, they were CDs held
in another name?
under the assumption that the Visitors Commission was a separate entity, so they're held in the name of the Visitors Commission. And I don't think there's any intention of that money can only be used for the statutory purposes, it's just, I mean, that's up to you all.
I don't care if they're there or not, I don't know what you guys think, but I don't care if they're there, I just want them identified as Scott County government, and they can stay there, I don't care.
Roughly, our penalties, if we sold all of them, I think would be, 260.
But with that, I mean,
$270.
can we not just, can we just not change the name?
Possibly, I can contact Russ
Just
tomorrow and
amend
find
that?
out.
Can I mention something real quick?
Yeah.
If they stay in to me, that board should be pretty much going dry at the end of every year, because they should be putting in, back into the community, almost 100% of what they're taking in, because that's what the board's about. If we have a CD and we don't cash them in and put them in that line, people are less likely to ever spend that money to help them do that, in my opinion.
Well,
Does that
I
make
will
sense?
say this, and this is almost like the EMS service, is that hotel tax, innkeeper's tax comes in is now, should come into the auditor's office and be put in their
We have
account.
not done that yet.
But that should be the proper procedure, but what I'm saying is that they're like, kinda like the EMS. They pay all their expenses for their office, their rent, their employees, all that comes out of that money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not, hey, they bring in X amount of dollars and all that. There's expenses are coming out of that too, because the county government's not putting anything into it.
You're correct, I understand
So-
that, but I mean,
so-
other than what their
Yeah,
expenses are,
Yeah, I get that. But I'm gonna say this,
Other than what their expenses are, what do you say?
well, I mean, other than what their expenses are a year, most of that money should be going out to help fund these programs
The
to bring
program,
people
okay.
in
Yeah.
to the county.
well, I think that's true, but I will say this, the needs that they have been requested, I guess the monies that they've been requested by some organizations, whether, I don't know how many people they've ever turned down, but, they couldn't spend all that money, cause there's not that many people. I mean, your Leo Frolic, your Old Settlers, they asked for money, well, this Mayberry thing, they gave money for that. But there's a lot of money comes in that they can't, I don't think they can spend it all. I mean, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but to say, let's do whatever, I mean, I think if you have that, then you're gonna fall into a bunch of stuff that
I think they honored every request that they received in the prior fiscal year.
Yeah.
Like they paid the exact amount requested as long as it was a qualified use.
Yep. Correct. Or we could look at it this way, they've got the money for their CD, so they're already got more than, or probably a year worth of
it's exactly what they did, and
that is backlogged. All right, so, they understand what they need to do moving forward as far as their expenses, and they know they have the money for that.
But
What would be wrong with them saying to the, fair board, okay, I understand you're only asking for $4,000, or you're only asking for $5,000. Here, we're able to offer you $20,000.
I get that.
That's what's, in my opinion, and I'm not on that board, but in my opinion, that's the way we should be doing it, because that should be emptied out at the end of every year. It should,
Well, the reason that those CDs exist, and from all the meetings we've had with the Visitors Commission and talking on the phone with some presidents of that board, the reason they did that as a board, and it came about, I believe, with the Henryville tornado that made them think about this, is that they thought, well, what if that tornado had hit Scott County's intersection and took out every hotel we had? We wouldn't have any money to help support, the organizations that they support now. So what they did was, and it wasn't 1 year they did it, they put money back, actually probably 4 times, because that's how many CDs there is. 4 times they put money back for what they consider a rainy day fund. Right or wrong, but that's what they did. I mean, and they were upfront about it. They said, we thought, what happens if this happens here? We won't have a dime. We wouldn't have a dime for multiple years, because it'd take years to build a hotel back. And you know, and quite honestly, everybody, you know, would suffer, I guess, but they had a thought, whether right, wrong, or whatever. But that's what the story is, so.
It sounds like maybe for that agenda item, we just need to maybe get those CDs
We got 1 minute,
transferred over into
1
our.
minute, we're gonna cut off.
into
We're gonna be
our
done.
name. Okay,
Well,
I'll let you all.
I have a question.
You can.
Go ahead and
You
start.
got it.
Shut it off.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're back on.
So,
Let's see how he's dragging it out.
do you have, was you done
I'm sorry.
with that subject?
Yeah, Zach was saying that we need to probably table it, but I think the question needs to be, is to the bank, can we switch the names to
I'll
the
call us
proper,
tomorrow and
to the
find
proper verbiage?
All
So
right,
go ahead.
so I have a question.
Is this on the agenda?
It is not on the agenda, but it's just a question.
Go ahead.
A gentleman by the name of Ron Comer on Van Campen Road has reached out to me, and he's concerned about, the speed in which people will be traveling down Van Campen once he becomes the bypass there for 31 during the, construction of 31. So he's wanting to know if we can put up a stop sign. Now, I know the backstory to that, and I've already explained that to him, but could we put up a slow zone sign up during the construction without going through a what do you call it,
Survey,
well,
traffic survey.
I certainly don't see why.
Temporary.
Yeah, like a temporary, I just want to make it clear, like, I don't know how you would,
well, we're just hoping
it's just
that,
advisory.
Are you talking Van
Right.
Campen which way?
Off of that.
right off.
I know where Van Campen is, my daughter lives there. Are you
Well,
talking
he's on the
east or west?
He's on the east side.
So where's he want a stop sign? Cause there's a
Not a
stop sign.
stop sign.
Oh, you said a stop sign. right?
No, I said slow. Didn't I?
You said
said
stop.
stop.
You went and
Stop
stopped
sign.
attention to stop sign?
I don't need a stop sign. I'm asking for a slow.
Okay.
I don't see any reason
Well,
why
actually-
putting in a traffic control device that's not a speed limit change.
I'm gonna tell you what,
So what, we can do that?
It is not a speed limit change. A
Yeah, we
maximum
can say
speed
that.
limit change.
you can put a slow sign.
So we can put a slow sign.
That's right.
But here's my other question, cause I'm trying to get him to
There's no way we.
do it on
enforce
another
it.
road, is that
You can't enforce it.
if you have an urban area, which the area you're talking about with Van Campen would fall into this urban area, you can reduce the speed limit without a traffic study to 30 miles an hour, and all we have to do is pass ordinance.
No, I thought that, we talked about that before, but, okay.
Because I've got a lady down Double or Nothing that wants me to do it in an area out there, and we need to do it.
And we wouldn't even really need to pass an ordinance per se, I guess. I mean, all we would need to do is acknowledge, it wouldn't hurt to do it by ordinance, but.
I'd rather do that, cause
Okay.
then
I
somebody
mean,
could
all
say, here it is.
we're not saying anything, we're not changing the speed limit, we're not doing anything, all we're saying is, from this point to this point is a urban district as defined by Indiana law. At that point, the speed limit is 35 miles per hour. We can reduce it to 30 miles per hour without doing a speed study in an urban district, but not less than 30 miles per hour without doing a speed study.
Yeah.
Do we know what that,
The definition.
distance and amount of houses?
In a quarter mile stretch of road, there is a certain number of, I believe it's within like 200 feet.
Every property has to, in state of, or in Scott County, has to be 200-foot roadway, unless it's grandfathered in from years ago. So technically, every home, if you have, and I don't know what the number of homes it is, that's why Zach and I have been talking about this, But north of, on Slab Road, north of the, New Providence Church, you put it there. You could put it on, on Little York Road, or not Little York, but on Boatman Road, where that lady, screaming about, people, her kids out there and people flying down the road, which they do, I mean.
Urban district means a territory contiguous to and including any street that is built up with structures devoted to business, industry, or dwelling houses situated at intervals of less than 200 feet for a distance of at least a quarter mile.
So it doesn't.
So technically, yeah, Van Campton qualifies.
Yeah, but I think but I think in your case, I mean, what you're asking for is just temporary. Also, I think it's a separate subject though.
Yes, it's a separate issue,
temporary
yeah.
signage during
Yeah.
construction.
I think we could probably cover the slow sign now, but I think it's something that, cause he he really wants the speed limit to be slow.
I would.
Here's where I'm going with any of this reduced speeds or putting the speed limit up, is that I want people, if say we're gonna do it on especially in this double or nothing, I'd like the neighbors that are gonna be affected in that strip, I want them to have an opinion.
Yeah.
Do all of
You're right,
it,
Right,
or is it
it's
just one of
30
you?
miles per hour.
You're right.
It's 30, cause
You
I
can
actually
reduce
asked
it
if you
to
could add it.
25 without doing a speed.
I agree with that.
Alright, let's move on. Yeah, so put a slow sign there.
Out.
There's probably one down there in the ditch or down there on a pallet, you can go get it.
Actually, I think I seen one in somebody's yard the other day, it was ours, so
Probably mine.
I'll just get it.
Consideration of regular invoices, special invoices.
And you got a special invoice on top, it just turned in late. So here you go, it came in today. And I think we've got 2 in there to sign, cause, we didn't have it signed last time.
So has everybody had not, well, these
And the top one is the special invoice.
alright, here's a special invoice, let's do this one first.
That came in an invoice for Cross Brown.
Looks like for Watson's sign for wrap, and it must be for,
I thought it got sent to
An
Mandy, but
ambulance.
I'm not sure.
or maybe be for. a
Was it
police
she
car-
copied in there?
Car, well, here it is.
Okay, I'll double check.
It's a Kubota wrap for $450, so
Photo wrap.
I guess they,
It's EMS, I think.
after all that salt eating up that thing, maybe they wrapped it, I don't know, maybe they wrapped it with EMS, I don't know. Looks like,
Is it coming out of their phone?
yes.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion to pay us $450 to Watson Signs for, looks like a wrap, so.
Sounds like it's too late to argue about it now.
Yeah, it's
done
already
the work,
done.
so
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, I'm sorry.
Randy makes a motion to pay the $450 to Watson's sign. Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous, so. Everybody had an opportunity to, look at the claims
Right off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
that, they sent to us, and actually, the reason you saw a couple of emails back and forth between Mandy and myself is that I was asking her if she could separate them out by departments, because when you're looking at a claim, you have to decipher who's got the claim. And she did it once before, and I think it was just something that didn't click over or whatever, but I think she fixed it, so. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the claims.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the claims.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Randy makes a motion to accept the claims. Greg?
I'll say.
I'll make that unanimous. So, is there more than one here? I see multiple.
There's 2
signs.
months, you actually voted on the last one, but we didn't, Mandy had left early and I didn't have the book in here, so we didn't sign it
That's correct.
last month.
Let's go down this way, I'll come back.
2 places.
Consideration of payroll for May 19th and June the 2nd. Everybody had an
And they're
opportunity
right
to look
here.
at payroll.
And there's one more
Yes.
item too that's paper clipped upside down there.
That
We've got
FMLA.
an FMLA, request.
So, has everybody had an opportunity to look at payroll? I'll entertain a motion to pay everybody.
Everybody gets paid, I'll make a motion.
Randy makes a motion to accept the payroll. Greg?
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. So, there is an FMLA request here, so we'll look at that. While we're doing that, Greg, you got anything else you wanna talk about or anything?
No.
Council?
No, the only thing that I had probably was gonna discuss, we discussed with Kevin about the ordinance. And that was it.
So the $1,200 that we need to send, or the $2,500 we need to send along with that?
Yeah, we need to send that like tomorrow with the $2,500.
There's two places, you get them both? Should be the last one down.
And Greg,
I think there's just one.
and then if
Oh,
anybody's,
it's that
yeah,
one.
that's, yeah.
Alright,
Randy, you got anything extra that's not on the agenda?
now I'm gonna keep my mouth shut for the rest of the night.
Well, it's over now.
Yeah. I'll say it
Shit,
tonight.
all about that a while ago.
I'm sure I've made enough people mad.
Story of my life. I'll entertain a motion to accept this FMLR request.
I'll make that motion.
Greg?
One second.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make it unanimous, so. Greg, I will not be there tomorrow. I thought I don't know, I got my days mixed up, but Paige, you're gonna be out there?
I'm working.
You gonna be, I'm the only one signs out. Are you gonna be able to be out there?
I will not.
Okay, so,
I do wanna piggyback on something you said though, Greg, thank you very much for taking the time to work through that, little piece of mess and pulling us through that obstacle. I appreciate that.
we'll say one last thing here. I've got a thank you card from Stacy Nickum on, the flowers we sent her on passing of her mother, so. Appreciate that, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
I will, entertain a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion to adjourn. Greg?
One second.
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous.